Chapter 271 The Relationship between Lin Zichen and the Abyss. Mom, what does the stone tablet in the dream look like? Please describe it in detail and I will see if I can draw it. Lin Zichen took a piece of drawing paper and charcoal pencil and asked excitedly. He felt that he seemed to have glimpsed a secret of why he was so strong. His strength may be inseparable from the abyss of the source. Now he can't wait to see everything in the dream, and can't wait for himself to explore slowly in his dreams. Let me think about it and see how to give you a detailed description. After Zhang Wangzhen finished speaking, she fell into memories, and while recalling, she organized the language to describe the appearance of the stone tablet. After about half a minute, she organized her words and began to describe. The stone tablet is very square and thick. It is estimated to be more than 2 meters long and more than 1 meter wide. It looks like a coffin. The color of the stone tablet is gray, and the 4 characters on it are black. The font is a bit like regular script, but it looks a bit sloppy. Also, there are a lot of strange mosses growing on the edge of the stone tablet. They are golden yellow and emit a little golden light. It looks very fantastic. By the way, the soil under the stone tablet is as hard as cement. Zhang Wangzhen described the coffin she saw very carefully, trying not to miss any details. About 10 minutes later, Lin Zichen finished the sketch, put it in front of Zhang Wangzhen and asked, Mom, does the stone tablet look like this? Zhang Wangzhen took a look and said, it looks quite similar, but there are still some differences in some details. At this time, Shen Qinghan, who was standing by, stood up the drawing paper in her hand and showed it, and asked, Aunt Xin, where is the one I drew? Just now, when Lin Zichen was drawing, she was also drawing. She has loved drawing since she was a child. Drawing is one of her few specialties when she was a child. She is very confident in her drawing skills. Zhang Wangzhen turned her head to look at her drawing paper, and her eyes suddenly lit up and said, Yes, it looks like this. Hanin, the stone tablet you drew is almost the same as what I saw in my dream. Sure enough, my baby Hanin is better at drawing. Zhang Wangzhen praised Shen Qinghan without hesitation, calling her my Hanin all the time, and completely treating Shen Qinghan as her own daughter. Shen Qinghan was embarrassed to be praised, but she was very happy in her heart. Being able to outshine Lin Zichen in certain areas made her feel very happy, and she felt relieved that she was not a burden. Lin Zichen glanced at Shen Qinghan's painting and found that it was indeed better than his. It can only be said that no matter how strong one's wisdom is, if one does not put in any effort, in certain areas, he will still not be able to compare with people who are already talented and hardworking. In the following days, Lin Zichen spent most of his time pestering Lin Yanzheng and Zhang Wangzhen, constantly asking them about everything they saw in their dreams. After many days of hard work, with the help of Shen Qinghan, he basically reproduced the environment in his parents' dreams on the drawing paper. After comparison, Lin Zichen found that the environment in his parents' dreams was exactly the same. There is a stone tablet engraved with the 4 words Son of the Abyss. There are various stone buildings that reveal an ancient and vicissitudes of life. There is also a giant butterfly in the abyss that violates biology. Considering the presence of buildings, Lin Zichen judged that this so-called life-forbidden zone abyss might be an ancient civilization lost in the long river of time. The days passed one by one. During this period, Lin Zichen had been observing his parents to see if there was anything special about them whose entire sea of consciousness was filled with source crystals. As a result, after observing for more than 10 days, he found nothing special. It seemed that the entire sea of consciousness was filled with source crystals, and there was no obvious impact on Lin Yanzheng and Zhang Wangzhen. It's strange. My parents have such a large piece of source crystals in their sea of consciousness. Logically, their bodies should be very strong, but why are they so ordinary? Lin Zichen was puzzled and very confused. Because, since he had a little more source crystals in his sea of consciousness, he could clearly feel that his body also had an extremely rich energy. This special energy, if nothing unexpected happened, was source power. Because there was such an extra source power in the sea of consciousness, the biological level that had just crossed the threshold of the rare 8th level directly came to the rare 8th level of perfection, only one step away from the rare 9th level. This is a very simple and crude enhancement. However, the parents who have source crystals bigger than an iceberg have no signs of being strengthened. This is too strange. Wait. Could it be that, the source crystals in my parents' sea of consciousness only have the function of nurturing? In other words, the reason why my sister and I are so amazing since birth is because of the blessing of the source crystals in my parents' sea of consciousness? No, this explanation is still forced, and many places don't make sense. Lin Zichen's mind is constantly thinking, trying to find a reasonable explanation. Unfortunately, after thinking for a long time, he couldn't find an explanation that could convince himself. In a blink of an eye, the time to go home to visit relatives is almost over. It's time to return to the source. The day before returning to the source, Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan went to visit Yuan Dongji and Lu Juanmu together. On the way to the Yuan family, the largest family in Nanjiang. Lin Zichen asked Shen Qinghan beside him, you have slept in my house for so long, and you haven't even had a dream about the abyss giant butterfly. During the time when he went home to visit relatives, Lin Zichen had 3 dreams related to the giant butterfly in the abyss. Every time you do it, the source crystals in the sea of consciousness will become more. When it reaches the 3rd time, the source power in the body has undergone a qualitative change, allowing the biological level to successfully evolve from the rare 8th level Dzogchen to the rare 9th level. Lin Zichen was very concerned about why Shen Qinghan, who had been sleeping with him all the time, never had a dream about the giant butterfly in the abyss. Never done it, not once. Facing Lin Zichen's question, Shen Qinghan shook his head and answered. After hearing this answer, Lin Zichen fell into deep thought. Does the occurrence of this dream have nothing to do with the location? Only you and your parents can do it. No one else can do it. Well, my sister, who is almost 3 months old, may also do it. About an hour later, Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan successfully arrived at the Yuan family, the largest family in Nanjiang province. The 2 of them originally thought that this big family would be an extremely luxurious palace. But after entering, I found that it was an antique house. Everything inside looks very retro. However, Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan did not pay attention to this. After entering the house, they walked into a room under the leadership of the housekeeper, and saw an unconscious Yuan Dongji inside. Yuan Dongji, who used to be very aura, was now a pale-faced vegetative state, lying motionless on the bed. Lu Juanmu, who used to be romantic every night, now sat by the bed and took good care of Yuan Dongji. Lin Zichen stepped forward to check Yuan Dongji's situation. Exude spiritual power. It invaded her body smoothly and moved around. Check every corner carefully. After some inspection, Lin Zichen discovered that Yuan Dongji's soul was seriously injured, with many cracks visible to the naked eye, which was shocking to see. The injury was so serious, no wonder he became a vegetative state and fell into a coma. If Yuan Dongji was not a rare-level powerhouse, he would probably be brain-dead long ago. Lindsay, how's the checkup going? Seeing that Lin Zichen had withdrawn his mental power, Shen Qinghan immediately asked impatiently. Lin Zichen shook his head, College Yuan hurt his soul. This touches my blind spot of knowledge. There is nothing I can do. If Yuan Dongji only suffered serious physical injuries, Lin Zichen could also treat Yuan Dongji by transporting qi and blood. But Yuan Dongji was so injured that he really didn't know how to treat it. So, Shen Qinghan was a little disappointed. After that, Lin Zichen checked Lu Juanmu again and found that his soul was also injured and could not be cured. Seeing that it couldn't be cured, Lin Zichen didn't force it. He just took care of the 2 of them with Shen Qinghan, and soon left the Yuan family. The Yuan family themselves have epic-level experts. How could I possibly do something that even epic-level experts couldn't do? When leaving, the head of the Yuan family, a powerful epic-level man, wanted to keep Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan for dinner. Lin Zichen didn't have this idea and just found an excuse to decline. I'm going back to the place of origin tomorrow. On this last night, he and Shen Qinghan just wanted to go home and be with their parents. After all, once you enter the origin, the next time you want to see your parents again will have to be at least 3 months later. Although Lin Zichen is not as home-loving as Shen Qinghan, he still misses his parents after not seeing them for 3 months. Time flies. As soon as I closed my eyes and opened them, it was the next morning. Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan got up early and made a hearty breakfast for their parents and sister. The cooking skills of the 2 are far better than Zhang Wangzhen. The porridge, soy milk, steamed buns, etc. that my parents and sister could not stop eating. Especially my younger sister Lin Zichen, who kept stuffing porridge into her mouth with a spoon in her right hand and stuffed buns in her left hand, looking like a beggar who had been hungry for days on the roadside. Lin Zichen looked at the foodie girl across from him, feeling that it was inconsistent but also cute at the same time. Contrary to this, my sister is only a baby girl who has just turned 3 months old, but her appetite is bigger than that of an adult. What's cute is that my sister is really silly when eating, her cheeks are bulging out, just like Cray and Shinchan from Sakura country. Husband, look at how happy the baby is eating. It seems that my son and Hanan's cooking skills are indeed better than mine. Zhang Wangzhen looked at her daughter who was eating non-stop, with a doting smile on her still charming face. Lin Zichen was her second daughter born after she was 40 years old. She had a daughter in her old age, so she doted on this young daughter very much. Lin Yanzheng nodded in agreement while eating the steamed buns. The 2 of them are indeed better at cooking than you. They are better than their masters. Hearing this answer, Zhang Wangzhen's face turned dark. She could say that her cooking skills were not as good as those of her son and daughter-in-law to be, but as her husband, Lin Yanzheng could never do it. Seeing her face darken, Lin Yanzheng realized that he had said the wrong thing, so he immediately closed his mouth and ate the bun silently with his head down. When Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan saw this scene, they couldn't help laughing. When a person depreciates himself, as a listener, it is best not to follow the other person's lead and say right, but to say no way, That's not the case. Zhang Wangzhen didn't have a dark face for a long time, and soon returned to her normal expression, and said to Shen Qinghan, Han, you and Xiao Chen spend the night here every day, don't your parents have any objections? Shen Qinghan answered while drinking porridge, my father has some objections, but my mother has no objection. She hopes that I can sleep with Xiao Chen every day. When Zhang Wangzhen heard this, she smiled immediately, your mother still thinks it, and it coincides with my idea. Like Su Ming, she hopes that Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan will sleep together every day, and get pregnant early so that she can become a grandmother. Now, except for spending 2 hours typing every day, she has no time to spare. In this regard, she sincerely hopes that there will be more babies in the family so that she can have something to do. After breakfast, Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan teased Lin Zieng for a while, and soon left the house and flew to Kyoto, going back to the source to shine. On the way to Kyoto, the two did not choose to take a military helicopter, but chose to consume mental power to fly in the air and practice their flying skills. Not long after, the two flew from Shanghai University to the Kyoto Military Region headquarters. After landing, the two of them authenticated their identities skillfully and returned to the source they had been separated for a long time through the biological channel. Back to the source. Lin Zichen went to the abyss behind the city as soon as possible, wanting to see from the outside whether this so-called life-forbidden area abyss was really the same as the dark space in the dream. He wanted to verify. But unfortunately, he was stopped before he came to the periphery of the abyss. The abyss is very dangerous, even the legendary strongmen dare not guarantee that they can survive 100%. And Lin Zichen is indeed a genius. But no matter how talented he is still just a rare creature now. The general guarding the abyss behind the city did not think that Lin Zichen could survive in the abyss, so he did not agree to let him enter the abyss. Seeing that the abyss did not allow him to enter, Lin Zichen did not force it. He just thought in his heart that when the biological level is raised to the legendary level in the future, he will go to the abyss to find out. In a blink of an eye. Several days passed. That morning, just after dawn, Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan left the dormitory early and flew towards the city gate. The two of them are now at the rare level, and can unconditionally leave the extraordinary genius team and choose to act alone. Under this premise, Lin Zichen chose to follow the city's survey team to go out of the city for survey. The city's survey team is mainly responsible for surveying the topography of the source and broadening the scope of knowledge of the source. And to join the survey team, the strength must be at least rare level or above. The captain of the team has a biological level as high as epic level, and it is the stronger level among the epic level. After all, they are going to open up a new map. If they are not strong, they will probably be buried in the belly of the beast not long after entering the dangerous area. Everyone is here, let's go out of the city. Seeing that the members of the survey team have arrived, the captain of the survey team shouted loudly. With this sound, the gate of the city in front slowly opened. At the moment when the city gate opened, Lin Zichen felt a little excited. After entering the source area for so long, today I finally have the opportunity to open up a new map. The evolutionary resources in the old map have basically been plundered by the predecessors. Now if you want to get good evolutionary resources, you have to open up a new map. P.S. Put the bowl, ask for monthly votes and recommendation votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 272, Meet the Nine-Tailed Fox Again. Desperate Sujuju. Northeast side of King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain. That is the direction leading to the eastern region of the origin. The moment Sujuju came out of King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain, he kept moving in this direction at a high speed. In the eastern region, there is an old lover of the mountain owner Su Maiziao. That old lover is a mythical creature in the eastern region, and his strength is particularly strong. If the old lover of the mountain owner Su Maiziao can come to the rescue in time, the crisis that King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain is facing now will be solved. Buzz. Suddenly, a sound of breaking through the air sounded. At the moment the sound sounded, a man surrounded by black air appeared in front, blocking Sujuju's way forward. Little fox, where do you want to go? The man looked at Sujuju with a deadly face and asked, emitting a strong biological pressure from his body. Facing this Cheng Yaojin who came out halfway, Sujuju frowned slightly. He didn't expect that he would be intercepted by the aliens in the Land of Desolation on the way to the eastern region. It seems that the sudden attack by the Sun Moon Holy Land and the Land of Silence was planned for a long time and was well prepared. Sujuju only thought about it for a short time and did not dwell on it too much. At the moment when her thoughts ended, a purple light flashed in her soul-stirring eyes. As the purple light lit up, the man who was blocking the road in front was instantly trapped in the illusion and entered a chaotic illusion. Seeing that the illusion was effective, Sujuju immediately accelerated to bypass the man and did not dare to delay for a moment. Because she could sense that the biological pressure emanating from the man was extremely strong, reaching the epic level, and his comprehensive strength was stronger than hers. She was not sure how long her illusion would last for the man. She had to leave this place quickly while the man had not yet escaped from the illusion. The strength of the mountain owner Su Maiziao was limited. Sumai Xiao alone could not stay in King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain for long. I have to rush to the East region as soon as possible to seek help from Sumai Xiao's old lover. The spiritual power of the King Kaiyu Fox clan is just so-so. Just as Sujuju was sprinting at full speed, a familiar male voice sounded faintly from under a tree on the side. Hearing this familiar male voice, Sujuju's face changed slightly. She looked in the direction of the voice vigilantly, and then a lifeless man came into her sight. It was none other than the man who had just been hit by her illusion. What happened? Wasn't he hit by my illusion? How could he appear here quietly? Sujuju frowned, and her pretty face was full of fear and confusion. The man saw her fear and confusion, and chuckled like a cat playing with a mouse. Do you think there is a possibility that I was not hit by your illusion just now, but you were hit by my illusion? I was hit by an illusion? Hearing this, Sujuju's heart sank, and she immediately sacrificed her blood to strengthen her spiritual power. As her mental power increased, she found that cracks of different sizes began to appear in her vision. These cracks became more and more, and they covered the entire vision until the vision was shattered like broken glass. After the vision was shattered, Sujuju quickly looked around and found that she had not moved a single step from beginning to end. The current position was still the position where she was intercepted by the man before. This shows that when she encountered the man, she had already been trapped in the man's illusion and became a lamb to be slaughtered. Knowing her situation well, she did not hesitate for a moment. With a ruthless heart, she directly sacrificed most of her blood to the sea of consciousness and raised her mental power to the epic level. The man felt her mental power suddenly surge, but there was no fluctuation in his heart. He still said in a dead voice. Why struggle? I didn't think of taking your life. If you are willing to be my furnace, I won't hurt you at all. The fox girl in King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain is famous for dual cultivation. In the world of Yuandi, there is no male creature who does not desire to have a fox girl as a furnace. Ha, you ugly thing, are you worthy? Sujuju was a complete face control. After cursing with a cold face, she immediately burst out her mental power to attack the man mentally. The man had a smile on his face. When he heard Sujuju attacking him for being ugly, his lifeless face suddenly became extremely gloomy, and his eyes were instantly filled with murderous intent. He decided not to use Sujuju as a furnace. He would refine her into a yin corpse and put her by the bed for use at any time. Living creatures would curse. But the yin corpse with annihilated souls would never curse, but would do whatever they were told to do. Die! The man shouted with some anger. The next second, the black air lingering on his body became extremely dense, turning into a series of black arrows that shot out violently, aiming directly at Sujuju in front. The speed of these black arrows was so fast that they tore the space and left a large void crack behind. Facing such a terrifying arrow, Sujuju had no power to dodge and was pierced through the body by the arrow on the spot. At the moment of being pierced by the arrow, the vitality in her body began to rapidly drain away, and in the blink of an eye her face turned pale, and her whole body was bloodless. Bang! An explosion sounded suddenly. At the moment when the vitality was completely drained away, Sujuju's body suddenly exploded, turning into fox hair floating all over the sky, and a shriveled tail fell and lay quietly on the ground. Broken tail to escape. The man looked at the fox tail on the ground and muttered this expressionlessly. Then he thought and took out a strange human skin paper from the storage bag, and accurately located Sujuju's whereabouts on it. On the other side, Sujuju, who successfully cut off her tail and escaped, walked towards the direction of City No. 1 with a painful face. She didn't dare to go to the East region alone, worried that there would be other interceptions on the road. She wanted to go to City No. 1 for help and let the strong people there escort her to the East region to ask for support. King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain has always been neutral, and the enemy of my enemy is my friend. She believes that the strong people in City No. 1 will definitely not refuse her request. The strong people in City No. 1 are definitely happy to see the mythical strong man in the East region rushing to the South region to fight with the Tree Elder of the Sun and Moon Holy Land and the Lord of Silence in the Land of Destruction. Almost at the same time, outside the city, a team led by an epic level warrior, and the rest of the team members are all rare level warriors, galloping on the ground at a very fast speed. In less than a minute, they traveled from the city to the dangerous area 50 miles away. Even after arriving at the dangerous area, the team's speed did not slow down at all. It was not until they traveled thousands of miles at high speed that Zhao Wuyan, the captain, stopped first, turned around and said to everyone. The dense forest in front is the semi-opened area of our city. Semi-opened area refers to the area where a strong man once passed by quickly and explored it with his mental power. This area has a certain degree of danger, but it is not high. As long as we act cautiously, there will generally be no accidents. Next, we will act separately and disperse into the dense forest in front, observe everything along the way, record information, and draw maps. Remember, when you encounter danger, you must first ensure your own safety, and everything else should be put last. When saying these words, Zhao Wuyan's eyes were basically on Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan throughout the whole process. The old team members are all very clear about what he said, and now I am talking about the key points, specifically for Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan to hear. After all, Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan are newcomers, and they need to be taken care of. Does everyone have any questions? Zhao Wuyan turned his eyes away from the two and turned to look at the others and asked. Everyone else said no problem. Seeing this, Zhao Wuyan nodded. Since everyone has no problem, the action will start now. The moment he finished speaking, the people present left one after another, and entered the dense forest in front from different paths to explore the terrain. You two are newcomers, so you don't have to act alone. Get together and go into the dense forest to explore. At least you have a companion and can look after each other. Zhao Wuyan looked at Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan and said this, and then he flashed into the dense forest in front. The captain is so caring for us, and he specially let us act together. Looking at the direction where Zhao Wuyan disappeared, Shen Qinghan said with a bit of relief on his face. She was really afraid that Zhao Wuyan would let her and Lin Zichen enter the dense forest in front separately for the sake of exploration efficiency. Fortunately, he didn't. In response, Lin Zichen just said lightly, "It is normal for the captain to take care of us. We are not only newcomers, but also geniuses with unprecedented evolutionary talents. Whether in public or private, the captain will take care of us." After explaining this sentence simply, Lin Zichen no longer wasted time and soon entered the dense forest in front with Shen Qinghan. The strength of the two people is at the top level in the rare level. Entering such a dense forest where most of the creatures are only high-level creatures is like a fish entering water, free all the way. After entering a certain depth, Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan began the exploration work. The former was responsible for violently opening the way, killing and devouring all the strange beasts and plants encountered along the way, and opening a large number of atlases to obtain biological attributes. The latter was responsible for drawing maps and recording everything seen along the way in detail on special paper. The two of them went deeper and deeper, and before they knew it, they had entered the deepest part of the dense forest, leaving the other people in the team hundreds of miles away. Lin Ziai, look, there is a large area of blood demon flowers growing there, we are rich. Shen Qinghan noticed that there was a large area of evolutionary resources growing in front of her, and she shouted excitedly. Lin Zichen was not as excited as her, but he was also slightly excited. Mature blood demon flowers are extremely expensive rare evolutionary resources. In the exchange hall of the city, a mature blood demon flower costs at least 2,000 contribution points to exchange. And now, there is such a large area of mature blood demon flowers in front of them. At a glance, there are at least 10 flowers, which is hard not to be excited. He calmed down a little. Lin Zichen immediately had an idea, and broke off the blood demon flowers in front of him through the air and took them away, and put them all in the storage space, waiting to eat, refine and absorb them after returning to the city. Just when Lin Zichen put all the blood demon flowers into the storage space, a very familiar breath suddenly appeared out of thin air beside a stream 10 miles away. When this breath appeared, Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan both sensed it immediately. Lin Ziai, it's that fox girl. Shen Qinghan looked at Lin Zichen and said with a little surprise in his voice. He didn't expect to meet Sujuju in this place. Lin Zichen didn't say anything, and was quietly sensing Sujuju 10 miles away. He wanted to see what happened over there. How could Sujuju suddenly appear out of thin air over there? As his mental power spread. Soon, Lin Zichen clearly sensed everything 10 miles away, saw Sujuju in a mess, and also saw the wisps of black air on her body. Is that the black air of the land of desolation? Is Sujuju being hunted by the aliens of the land of desolation? Not good. We have to leave here quickly. Otherwise, we might be affected. Realizing this, Lin Zichen immediately took Shen Qinghan's hand and turned to gallop away from Sujuju. If Sujuju was really hunted by the aliens of the land of desolation, then there would probably be aliens from the land of desolation chasing after her next. Lin Zichen didn't want to be affected, he just wanted to get away from here quickly. He just wanted to quickly meet up with Zhao Wuyan, whose biological level was as high as epic, and let this powerful captain protect him and Shen Qinghan. At the moment he took Shen Qinghan's hand and left. At the edge of a stream 10 miles away, Sujuju, wearing a purple dress, sat on the ground powerlessly, her face pale and spitting blood, looking dying. She would not live long. She could not run anymore. The blood in her body was almost completely consumed, her whole body was weak and powerless. She could only sit and wait for death, and when the male alien from the land of desolation caught up with her, she would break off her tail again to escape, severely injuring her soul. If she could escape by severely injuring her soul again, it would be good. But the bad thing was that no matter how she broke off her tail to escape, she would eventually be found and caught up by the male alien from the land of desolation. Breaking off her tail to escape could not really let her escape from the clutches of the male alien. She had already broken off her tail to escape 7 times, and she deeply realized that the male alien from the land of desolation had a tracking method that could easily find her. No matter how she broke off her tail to escape, she would be found by the man in the end. My aunt is still waiting for me to bring people back to save Gu Shan. I can't be caught by that person. I must reach the East region for rescue. What should I do? Is there any way for me to escape? Su Juju's brain was constantly thinking, looking for a way to break the deadlock. At this time, a lifeless voice suddenly sounded in front of her. Can't run anymore. The moment the voice fell, a familiar figure appeared in front of her, looking down at her with a playful look. The person who came was the male alien from the Land of Desolation. Seeing the male alien from the Land of Desolation chasing up, Su Juju's pretty face, which was pure and lustful, was suddenly filled with despair, and her face was ashen. She didn't want to be refined into a yin corpse. She would rather be annihilated than be refined into a yin corpse by the bedside and abused every day by this extremely ugly male alien from the Land of Desolation in front of her. P.S. Put the bowl, ask for monthly votes and recommendation votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 273, Killing an Epic Alien. New achievement, Mutual Benefit and Symbiosis. In the dense forest, Lin Zichen did not dare to stay for a moment, and ran with Shen Qinghan all the way, getting away from Su Juju as fast as possible. Then, before he ran very far, several reminder messages suddenly appeared in the void deep in his mind. You have met a troubled alien fox girl who has courted you many times and wants to take the path of reproduction and evolution with you and evolve into a higher level creature together to meet the conditions of mutual benefit and symbiosis. Achievement, live under the same roof with a foreign creature for 1 year, during which time you must benefit from each other and evolve together. Reward, obtain biological attributes, mutual benefit and symbiosis. Total length of living together, 0/366 days. Lin Zichen glanced at the contents of these reminder messages and felt very surprised. It's been a long time since he triggered a new achievement mission. I didn't expect that it would be triggered in this situation for a long time. The biological attributes rewarded by the system are much stronger than the biological attributes obtained by opening the album. The effect of this mutual beneficial symbiosis will definitely not be bad. So, should I go back and save the fox girl, complete this achievement task, and obtain the biological attribute mutual benefit and symbiosis produced by the system? Lin Zichen felt tangled in his heart. The biological attributes produced by the system are extremely strong and very tempting to him. For a moment, he didn't know whether he should risk going back to save Su Juju. This tangle lasted less than 2 seconds and was over. Lin Zichen made a decision to temporarily give up this new achievement task. The achievement can be accomplished at any time, but you only have 1 life, so there is no need to take the risk today. The moment this decision was made, Lin Zichen's expression changed, and he sensed a powerful aura by the creek where Su Juju was. With the concentration of mental power, the next second, a man covered in black energy appeared in his mind. He is a stranger from the Land of Desolation. The biological level is extremely high. Up to epic level 1. Just the first level of epic level. After peeking at the man's biological level, Lin Zichen stopped and had the idea of taking an adventure. His current biological level is the rare 9th level, which is only 1 level lower than men. With the blessing of a large number of biological attributes, if nothing unexpected happens, he can probably crush men easily. Lindsay, why did you stop suddenly? Seeing Lin Zichen stop, Shen Qinghan couldn't help but wonder. After finishing speaking, before Lin Zichen could answer, she spoke again, are you going back to save the fox girl? I have this idea. Lin Zichen answered honestly. He didn't like to lie to Shen Qinghan. He basically said whatever he thought in his heart. Since we have this idea, let's go back and save her. After Shen Qinghan finished speaking, he continued, although the fox girl is a creature from the origin, she has no ill intentions towards us. Moreover, she helped us when we were attacked by the Shenzi cult in Shanghai City. She is in trouble now. If we can save her, we must save her. Shen Qinghan told the truth and did not pretend to be generous in front of Lin Zichen. It's true that Su Juju coveted Lin Zichen, but Shen Qinghan didn't think that Su Juju could seduce Lin Zichen, and he wasn't worried at all that he would go back to save Su Juju and risk attracting wolves into the house. Seeing that Shen Qinghan didn't care anymore, Lin Zichen didn't hesitate and hurriedly led her to the creek. On the road. In order to ensure nothing went wrong, Lin Zichen decisively sacrificed the essence and blood in his body, maximizing his energy, blood, and mental strength. He must use his strongest stance to fight against the alien from the Land of Desolation whose creature level reaches the epic 1st level. Beside the gurgling stream, Su Juju stood up from the ground with difficulty, her eyes always falling on the man in front of her, frowning as she thought about how to escape. However, no matter how much she thought, she could never think of a good solution. For a moment, despair filled her heart, making her entire face look ashen. The man who was covered in black energy couldn't help but smile when he saw the despair on her face. With your brows furrowed so tightly, does this mean you have reached the limit of your ability to escape? To be honest, your frown doesn't look that good. But it doesn't matter. After I refine you into an inferi, I will make you smile and be beautiful forever. Always smiling. Sujuju didn't think that a corpse with a smile on its face would be beautiful. She only felt that it looked like the underworld. It's useless to say more, come into my corpse-raising flag and become a beautiful inferi. As soon as he finished speaking, a dark flag appeared out of thin air in the man's hand and flicked it towards Sujuju in front. In an instant, a large piece of rich black energy flew out from the flag, turning into a dark ghost with bursts of shrill screams, and filled the air towards Sujuju at lightning speed. At this time, Sujuju's blood and energy were almost exhausted, and she was unable to get up and dodge. I can only watch helplessly as a large number of terrifying ghosts fill the air, and sit back and wait for death. Just when the ghost was about to swallow her body. Buzz! A deafening sound broke through the air. The moment the sound sounded, a force of qi and blood that was so rich that it was about to condense into blood droplets surged from a distance at a speed that could not be sensed even by the spirit, instantly dispersing the ghosts in the sky into nothingness. Who? The man was horrified and turned his head to look in the direction of the blood and qi, with a look of horror on his face. This blood and qi could instantly disperse the ghosts in his corpse-raising banner, at least at the epic level. Also, until now, he had not been able to sense where the owner of the blood and qi was, and could not sense any breath at all. Combining these 2 points, he immediately realized that the person coming was extremely powerful, and was probably stronger than him. Buzz! A piercing sound of breaking through the air sounded again. What responded to the man was not the words of the person who attacked secretly, but another blood and qi containing terrifying energy. This time, the man who was on guard immediately waved the corpse-raising banner in his hand at the moment when the blood and qi surged, tearing a dark crack in the air and swallowing up all the blood and qi that surged. Buzz! Another sound of breaking through the air exploded. As the sound rang out, a figure as fast as lightning flashed out from the forest, killing the man with a huge amount of blood and energy. The speed of this figure's killing was extremely fast. It was so fast that even the man with a biological level as high as the first level of epic had not reacted before his head was blown up by a punch, and his upper body also exploded, turning into a bloody rain all over the ground. Only the lower body was still standing on the ground, struggling to reshape its flesh and blood, trying its best to grow a new upper body and a new head. Unfortunately, everything was in vain. Because soon another equally powerful punch came, and the only remaining lower body was also blasted into a bloody rain with wisps of black air. Even if it turned into blood all over the sky, the man still wanted to reshape his flesh and blood. A large number of blood beads floating in the air condensed together again at a very fast speed, forming a hazy human figure. However, less than half a second after the humanoid was formed, it was hit by a punch and turned into a bloody rain. Swish! There was a sound of burning. Every drop of the bloody rain suddenly ignited a red flame. In the blink of an eye, it was burned into nothingness and disappeared into the air. It completely lost the possibility of recasting flesh and blood. The moment before the blood in the body was completely burned out. The man couldn't understand why an earthling with a biological level of only rare 9th level could kill him in an instant. On the other side, Sujuju witnessed the man being killed instantly with her own eyes, and she was stunned. Her innocent and lustful pretty face was full of disbelief. Lin Zichen? How could it be him? That man was an epic strongman in the land of destruction. How could Lin Zichen beat him into a pool of blood with just 2 punches? Sujuju saw the face of the person who came, and when she found out that it was Lin Zichen, whom she had coveted for a long time, her heart was immediately shocked. Just a year ago, Lin Zichen was just an ordinary creature, and was easily played with by her ordinary clone. And in just a short year, Lin Zichen actually grew to the point where he could easily kill an epic-level strongman who even she could not do anything about. This was too outrageous. When Sujuju thought it was outrageous, Lin Zichen, who killed the man in an instant, also thought it was outrageous and felt very unbelievable. Before arriving at the stream, he was ready to fight the man to the death. For this reason, he deliberately did not let Shen Qinghan follow too close, and asked her to stay away. In this way, if something unexpected happened at that time, Shen Qinghan would still have a chance to escape. But what he did not expect was that the alien from the land of destruction, whose biological level was as high as the first epic level, could not even block his punch, and was directly blown up with his head and upper body. Such a result was too unexpected. Lin Ziai, is he dead? Seeing that the battle seemed to be over, Shen Qinghan, who was hiding at the end of the stream, immediately broke through the water and came to Lin Zichen's side, and asked this question carefully. While asking this question, her perception was always turned to the maximum, always monitoring the slightest movement around. After all, the man who was just killed instantly was an epic strongman. No one can guarantee whether the other party has any special means of avoiding death, which can save oneself from a fatal blow. In this case, you really have to be cautious. He should be dead. Lin Zichen sensed hundreds of times in an instant, and did not sense the man's breath once, and estimated that the other party should be dead. At least, the body just now was dead. As for whether the other party is just an insignificant clone, it is unknown. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. After a moment of recovery, Lin Zichen didn't waste a moment, and quickly looked at Sujuju in front of him and asked, "Can you still run?" Sujuju shook her head, "My body is overdrawn, I can't run." After hearing this, Lin Zichen didn't say much, and directly hugged Shen Qinghan beside him into his arms. Then, he immediately rushed to Sujuju with a flash step, and hugged her into his arms. After hugging the two, Lin Zichen immediately had an idea, and his whole body burst into blood, and he took the two people to the direction of the captain Zhao Wuyan. He was not sure whether there would be any strangers from the land of desolation coming later, so he had to rush to Zhao Wuyan to inform him of this matter as soon as possible to avoid any accidents later. Sujuju, who was hugged tightly by him, couldn't help but feel a strange feeling in his heart. It was not a heart-pounding feeling, but a strong sense of disobedience. To this day, it feels unreal to her. It feels like even in sleep, it is difficult to dream of the scenes that are playing out at this moment. A year ago, he was a weakling in ordinary earthlings. A year later, he became a strong man who could instantly kill epic strong men. This is simply a monster, too appalling. Lin Zichen didn't know what Sujuju was thinking about, so he just rushed forward. The airflow generated during the sprint made the dense forest rustle. "Why are you being hunted by the aliens in the land of destruction? What exactly happened? Please give me a brief summary." On the way to Zhao Wuyan, Lin Zichen asked Sujuju in his arms while speeding. Sujuju, who heard the question, calmed down a little and quickly answered. "The ancient mountain of King Kaiu where I am located is currently being besieged by Shu Lao from the Holy Land of the Sun and the Moon, and Lord Ji from the Land of Nirvana. My aunt, the owner of King Kaiu Ancient Mountain, asked me to go down to the eastern region to find her old sweetheart and ask her old sweetheart to come to the rescue. I followed my aunt's arrangement and secretly left King Kaiu Ancient Mountain and rushed to the eastern region through the teleportation circle. As a result, I didn't run very far when I came down from the mountain and encountered the epic powerhouse that you just killed easily." Sujuju didn't hide anything and told Lin Zichen everything she knew. Now she needed Lin Zichen's help to escape, and she didn't dare to hide anything for fear of making Lin Zichen unhappy. "I see." After hearing the answer, Lin Zichen replied calmly. After answering the question, Sujuju hesitated for a moment and couldn't help but asked curiously, "I want to know, in just one short year, why has your strength improved so much?" "Because I have a high evolutionary talent." Lin Zichen answered in a calm voice. After receiving such an answer, Sujuju felt that Lin Zichen must be hiding his clumsiness. In just 1 year, he has evolved from an ordinary creature at the speed of light to a strong man who can kill an epic alien in an instant. This is not something that can be achieved by just having evolutionary talent. Sujuju was thinking that Lin Zichen must have obtained a lot of evolutionary resources in the past year, and coupled with his evolutionary talent that shocked the past and present, this allowed him to evolve so quickly. But even so, it is still very shocking that Lin Zichen can have the strength he has today. Sujuju asked herself that in just 1 year, no matter how much evolutionary resources she consumed, she could not evolve from an ordinary creature to an epic powerhouse at the speed of light. Just thinking about it, Sujuju suddenly thought of a very important question. Now, is I still qualified to let Lin Zichen be a bed slave? It seems that he no longer has the qualifications. If I want to be one, I'm afraid I'll have to be Lin Zichen's bed slave by myself. P.S. Set the bowls, please recommend monthly tickets. End of chapter. Chapter 274 Killing the Nine-Tailed Fox. Sujuju with a single slap. Lin Zichen was traveling extremely fast. In just a few seconds, he traveled dozens of miles in the forest, and finally saw the figure of Captain Zhao Wuyan in a strange bloody swamp. At this time, Zhao Wuyan was exploring the endless bloody swamp alone. At his feet, there were several huge corpses of alien beasts floating. This is an indigenous beast that lives in the bloody swamp. It attacked Zhao Wuyan and was killed by Zhao Wuyan ruthlessly on the spot. Lin Zichen stopped at the edge of the swamp and put down Shen Qinghan and Sujuju in his arms. Sujuju stood on the ground with a dazed look on her face. Just as she was walking down the road, she saw an incredible scene. When Lin Zichen was sprinting at high speed, the plants blocking him would be uprooted in advance and moved aside to allow him to move forward unimpeded. This scene looks like the legendary wood god has descended into the forest, and all the plants wherever he goes will make way for him. Is this Lin Zichen really from Earth? Why do you seem to have more magical powers than the aliens? It's incredible. Sujuju was puzzled and full of doubts about Lin Zichen's true identity. Why did you two come over to my place and brought a fox girl with you? Zhao Wuyan, who was suspended above the swamp, noticed that Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan were bringing a depressed fox girl, and couldn't help but look at Lin Zichen in confusion and asked. When he asked this question, he had already flown towards Lin Zichen and slowly landed in front of him. Lin Zichen kept his story short and told Zhao Wuyan all the information he learned. Zhao Wuyan's expression changed slightly after hearing this, and then he said with a touch of disbelief, you said that King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain is now being besieged by Shu Lao and Lord Ji, and this fox girl is going to the eastern region to find help. Lin Zichen, this is what I learned. Zhao Huiyan looked at Su Juju, who was standing next to Lin Zichen, and saw that there was a trace of black energy on her body, and he immediately became somewhat convinced of this matter. After choosing to believe it, Zhao Huiyan's face quickly became solemn. First, the Sun and Moon Holy Land and the Land of Nirvana joined forces to attack King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain, and then King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain sent people to the eastern region to seek rescue. Judging from these 2 points, the origin of the land is probably going to change. In particular, once the strong men from the eastern region participate, it will inevitably lead to a chaotic war that can change the entire power structure of the origin. Perhaps, this is an opportunity for the Earth side to change its disadvantaged situation in the place of origin. Realizing this, Zhao Huiyan immediately took out the sound transmission device from his arms and gave an urgent notice to the team members scattered throughout the dense forest. Everyone put down what you are doing and gather at the entrance of the jungle immediately. We are going back to the city now. For safety reasons, Zhao Huiyan did not disclose the reason for the urgent return to the city to the team members, but simply issued such a return notice to them. Today, on this side of the earth, there is not much of anything but a lot of traitors. Zhao Huiyan estimated that there were probably traitors in the team who had taken refuge with foreigners. Once the traitor finds out about this, the fox girl who looks half dead is afraid that she will be silenced. As long as the fox girl dies, the news that King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain is under siege may not be well conveyed to the ears of the powerful men in the eastern region. Even if it is successfully conveyed, the strong men in the eastern region will not believe it easily, but will suspect that this is a trap from the earth side. Come on, let's meet at the entrance. Zhao Huiyan dropped these words and disappeared in front of Lin Zichen and others in a flash. When Lin Zichen saw this, he immediately opened his hands and hugged Shen Qinghan and Su Juju into his arms, leading them to follow Zhao Huiyan's footsteps. Zhao Huiyan was shocked when he felt that Lin Zichen was following him. He is an epic-level powerhouse, and his traveling speed is at least 50% of his strength. Lin Zichen is just a rare creature, how did he keep up? Moreover, he was holding 2 burdens in his arms. It's incredible. I don't know how his body grew. About half a minute passed. The entrance to the dense forest, which was originally empty, was suddenly filled with people. Captain Zhao, what happened? Why did you suddenly summon the brothers back to the city so urgently? A rare 9th level team member was puzzled by this. Upon hearing this, everyone else looked at Zhao Huiyan, the captain, eager to know what was going on now. At this time, someone noticed Su Juju standing next to Lin Zichen, frowned and said, "Why is there a fox girl from King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain here? Captain Zhao, is it because of this fox girl that you suddenly called us back to the city?" Zhao Huiyan did not answer this question. Seeing that everyone in the team had arrived, he said in a calm voice, "I will tell you about this later when we return to the city. Now we will return to the city immediately." After saying that, he took the lead and soared into the sky, flying quickly towards the direction of the city. Lin Zichen followed him immediately, holding Shen Qinghan and Su Juju on his left and right behind him. Others were shocked and a little unbelievable when they saw that Lin Zichen could fly so fast while holding 2 burdens, so fast that he could keep up with Zhao Huiyan's flying speed in the air. After a moment of recovery, these people rose into the sky one after another and flew straight towards the direction of the city. Not long after, the entire survey team returned to the city smoothly. As soon as he landed, as the captain, Zhao Huiyan didn't waste a moment and immediately led Lin Zichen and others to the city lord's office. When the other team members saw this, they all followed him, wanting to understand what happened. In the city lord's office, as the city lord, Qin Chuan was discussing matters with the 2 deputy city lords, Bai Wubian and Shang Guanyuehua. The discussion was about the ruins of the abyss. This abyssal ruins is the news released by the Land of Annihilation some time ago. All 3 of them had in-depth knowledge and confirmed that the information was true. In order to prove the mythical creatures, Qin Chuan had discussed with the city's senior officials several times before. The final decision was made to enter this abyss ruins to find out. Unfortunately, before Qin Chuan had time to act, his plan was disrupted by a sudden attack from the Sun and Moon Holy Land and the Land of Nirvana. Now that the war is over, it is time to put the matter of entering the abyss ruins on the agenda. City Lord, Zhao Huiyan, the captain of the survey team, said he has something urgent to report. The new City Lord's secretary, a young woman with excellent appearance and figure, told Qin Chuan this in a voice full of knowledge. Qin Chuan said calmly, "Let him come in." "Yes." The female secretary responded, quickly exited to the corridor outside the office, and invited all the people waiting outside. The moment everyone came in, Qin Chuan saw Su Juju in the crowd for the first time. Regarding this, he couldn't help but feel a little confused. Your survey team returned to the city not long after leaving the city. Is it because of this King Kaiyu fox girl? The city lord is as knowledgeable as a god. Zhao Huiyan flattered him, and then explained in a respectful voice, "City lord, what happened is that King Kaiu Ancient Mountain was jointly attacked by the Sun and Moon Holy Land and the Land of Nirvana, and then King Kaiu Ancient Mountain sent this fox girl to the eastern region to seek rescue. As a result, the fox girl was intercepted on the road and beaten to death. Fortunately, she was discovered by Lin Zichen, who was passing by, and successfully saved her life. After hearing Zhao Wuyan's words, the three city lords, including the other teammates of the survey team, were all stunned. King Kaiu Ancient Mountain, a neutral force, was actually attacked by the Holy Land of the Sun and the Moon and the Land of Nirvana. What was going on? Is this internal strife? Or, the aliens in the Land of Nirvana are eyeing the special dual cultivation physique of the King Kaiu Fox Girl, and want to take all the fox girls in the mountain as their own, and use the dual cultivation path to quickly increase the biological level? Everyone was very confused about this. Calm down your mood a little. Qin Chuan looked at Sujuju, his deep eyes stared into hers, and then asked, is everything he said true? This him refers to Zhao Wuyan, the captain of the survey team. Return to the lord of the city, it's true. Sujuju said in a weak voice. The city lord shouted with full respect. In the ancient mountains of King Kaiu, as a saint, she would not bow down in front of Qin Chuan. However, we are now in city number 1, in Qin Chuan's territory. People under the eaves have to bow their heads. Although she is not a human but a fox, the principle is the same. After getting such a definite answer from Sujuju, Qin Chuan felt slightly excited, and then his whole body became excited. If this matter is true, then this is definitely an opportunity that can change the situation where the Earth's forces are at a disadvantage in the origin and allow the Earth's forces to take advantage of the chaos and develop. After a brief thought, Qin Chuan decided to do Sujuju a favor and escort her to the eastern region to seek rescue. This prompted the mythical powerhouse from the eastern region to join the battlefield, and both the mythical powerhouses from the Sun and Moon Holy Land and the Land of Nirvana were harmed. After thinking about it, Qin Chuan asked Bai Wubian and Shangguan Yuehua beside him, I plan to escort this fox girl to the eastern region and help her spread the news to the mythical powerful man in the eastern region as soon as possible. You too. What do you think? Bai Wubian was the first to agree, I think this is very feasible. The possible reason is the same as what Qin Chuan thought. He wants the mythical powerhouse from the eastern region to join the battlefield, and an earth-shattering mythical battle will break out, causing the forces in the origin to fight against each other. However, this reason cannot be stated. Because Sujuju was here, it was not good for her to hear it, or it was a little inappropriate. City Lord, please think twice. What if this is a trap to lure us out of the city? Shangguan Yuehua was as conservative as ever in his advice. When Bai Wubian heard this, his whole face suddenly changed. He opened his mouth to angrily yell at Shangguan Yuehua, scolding her as a conservative who failed in success but failed in failure. Only this time, before he could express his anger, Qin Chuan, the city lord, forcibly interrupted their spell casting. Qin Chuan did not give Bai Wubian and Shangguan Yuehua a chance to argue, and directly made the final decision in a dictatorial manner, you two don't need to argue about this. I have decided to personally escort this fox girl to the eastern region for help. Bai Wubian smiled and said, City Lord, I will also escort you. Shangguan Yuehua sighed deeply and said with some reluctance, then I will come too. The last word ba sounds rogue. Seeing that the two deputy city lords agreed, Qin Chuan looked around and said to everyone present. As long as you are present, you will set off with me to the eastern region later to help this fox girl in King Kaiu Ancient Mountain spread the news to Poseidon. The Poseidon in his mouth was none other than the old sweetheart from the eastern region who was the owner of King Kaiu Ancient Mountain. After making this decision, very soon, Qin Chuan led a group of people to leave the city through a small path at the side gate of the city, and went to the east region to send the message of help to the ears of the sea god. The distance between the east region and the south region is very wide. It is hundreds of thousands of miles. However, for a team whose lowest biological level is rare, it is obviously not difficult to reach the east region in a short time. Buzz. 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 Accompanied by a sharp sound of breaking through the air. Dozens of streams of light set off from the south region and flew towards the east region at a high speed. These streams of light flew very fast, almost flashing by, leaving bursts of air explosions. Normally, creatures at the rare level can't fly so fast. At this time, Lin Zichen and others can fly so fast, thanks to Qin Chuan, Bai Wubian and Shangguan Yuehua, three powerful men, who formed a triangular magic circle around them, and took the people in the magic circle to fly at high speed. Doing so actually slowed down the speed of the three people a little bit. But there was no way, everyone in the triangular magic circle knew about the attack on King Kaiu Ancient Mountain. For the sake of confidentiality, Qin Chuan had to bring all these people with him and monitor their every move on the road to prevent anyone from leaking the information. Lin Ziai, I feel that we don't need to radiate our mental power to maintain flying in the air. With the city lord and others forming a formation to take us flying, we can fly at high speed even if we don't move. Shen Qinghan said to Lin Zichen beside him. Lin Zichen smiled and said, I have already collected my spiritual power. Now I am being carried away the whole time. After saying that, he added, I am not the only one who does this. Almost everyone in the triangular magic circle is like me now. They are not flying by themselves. They are all being carried away. Ah! Shen Qinghan was stunned at first, and then felt a little uncomfortable and said, it turns out that I am the only fool who is still radiating spiritual power. You are not stupid, you are honest, unlike me who likes to be sneaky and cunning. Lin Zichen comforted Shen Qinghan so that he would not feel uncomfortable. Just after the words of comfort were finished. Suddenly, Lin Zichen frowned and sensed a strong killing intent. When he looked in the direction of the killing intent, he saw Bai Wubian flying at high speed on the left. Before he could react to Bai Wubian's killing intent. Boom! There was a loud noise. Bai Wubian, who was still flying at high speed the moment before, suddenly turned around and attacked Sujuju, slapping her with a palm. Sujuju didn't even have time to react, and was directly slapped into nothingness by this terrifyingly powerful palm, completely annihilated in front of everyone. Disappeared with her, there were also 2 rare-level surveyors who were very close to her and were unfortunately affected by the residual power of this palm. Dead? Seeing Sujuju suddenly being blasted away by a palm, Lin Zichen was stunned. His brain was a little down for a while, and he didn't know what happened. All this happened too suddenly and too fast, so fast that he had no time to react. P.S. Put the bowl, ask for monthly votes and recommendation votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 275, Epic Level of Enlightenment. Bai Wubian, what are you doing? Qin Chuan looked at Bai Wubian who suddenly attacked, his eyes full of shock and surprise. Bai Wubian's attack was too sudden, and he had no time to react and stop him. Buzz. Bai Wubian did not respond to him, and the only response was a sharp whistling sound. After killing Sujuju with a palm, Bai Wubian rushed towards Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan, wanting to strangle this pair of geniuses who rose from the earth in the cradle. After killing Sujuju, his identity as a traitor has been exposed. He might as well go all out. Kill Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan as well. Get rid of the threat in advance. Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan's evolutionary talents are too terrifying. If they are allowed to grow, they will definitely be a huge threat to the Sun and Moon Holy Land in the future. If the situation allows, he wants to take Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan back to the Sun and Moon Holy Land and sacrifice them to the Great Flower God. However, in the current situation, this is simply impossible. The only thing he could do was to kill them quickly. Since he couldn't get it, he would destroy it. Buzz. A sound of breaking through the air followed. Qin Chuan moved. Just now, Bai Wubian suddenly attacked Sujuju, and he didn't react. And now, Bai Wubian attacked Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan in front of him. He couldn't fail to react as he was stronger. Soon. There was a loud bang. Qin Chuan's figure was like a shadow, breaking through the void and appearing in front of Bai Wubian. With the vast power of blood and qi, he punched him fiercely. This punch directly shattered the air and tore the space. It was like a huge meteorite, fiercely hitting the surface of the earth. It burst out extremely terrifying energy. Instantly smashed Bai Wubian into blood and flesh. But the next second, the blood and flesh quickly reorganized into a human form, which was Bai Wubian who was blown up in the last second. Lin Zichen witnessed the scene up close and was extremely shocked. He was shocked by Qin Chuan's precise control of energy, which allowed him to smash a legendary warrior with one punch without affecting the unrelated people in front of him. At the same time, he was also shocked by Bai Wubian's ability to recast his flesh and blood. He was blasted into a sea of flesh and blood by one punch, but he could still restore his human form in an instant and look unscathed. Is this the power of legendary creatures? Lin Zichen thought so in his heart, and quickly reacted to hug Shen Qinghan and took her away from the battlefield at a high speed. Qin Chuan attacked unilaterally and punched out, which could ensure that no one else would be hurt. But if he developed into a fierce confrontation with Bai Wubian later, the intensity of the aftermath of the outbreak would be uncertain, and it might destroy the territory of dozens of miles in a minute. This is a powerful legendary creature with the power to destroy the world. Others thought so in their hearts, and quickly moved away from the center of the battlefield to avoid being affected next. Most of the members of the survey team are only rare creatures, and they can't do anything in front of the battle between the legendary masters. Rather than being shocked to death like a mosquito later, it is better to stay away now and save your life. No one will say anything about this, and they will not become deserters because of this. That's it. In just a blink of an eye, only Qin Chuan, Bai Wubian and Shang Guanyuehua, 3 legendary masters, were left at the scene. Among them, Qin Chuan had a gloomy face and asked with anger in his eyes, Bai Wubian, which force are you a lackey of? Sun Moon Holy Land. Bai Wubian replied lightly, and did not refute the extremely insulting word lonely dog. It's the Sun Moon Holy Land again. Qin Chuan couldn't understand, you have already taken the position of Deputy City Lord. In a few years, when I step down, you will be the strongest competitor for the new City Lord. Why do you want to be a lackey of the Sun Moon Holy Land? Bai Wubian's heart was calm, I can sit in the position of Deputy City Lord today because of the Sun Moon Holy Land. You are worse than pigs and dogs. Qin Chuan cursed loudly, and then said to Shangguan Yuehua beside him, Yuehua, help me capture him alive and bring him back to the city to torture him. Okay. Shangguan Yuehua said sparingly. Bai Wubian smiled, want to capture me alive? I would rather explode myself than give you the chance to capture me alive. Qin Chuan said disapprovingly, lack-nose are greedy for life and afraid of death. The moment he finished speaking, his eyes condensed, and he directly stepped through the void and appeared above Bai Wubian, raised his palm full of blood and energy and slapped it down like a mountain pressing down. Bai Wubian was unable to dodge and was suppressed by a palm on the spot. He fell to the ground with a boom, creating a large and shocking spider web crack, shaking the earth violently. Qin Chuan did not pause at all. He immediately broke through the void and rushed into the rolling smoke and dust below. He wanted to pursue the victory. He did not give Bai Wubian any chance to breathe. Buzz. 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 As soon as Qin Chuan rushed into the smoke and dust, a sharp air explosion sound came from inside. As the sound sounded, countless thorny vines soared into the sky, with terrifying power, and shot towards Qin Chuan like arrows. Facing these attacking thorny vines, Qin Chuan did not take them seriously at all. He shook his tiger body directly, bursting out the legendary high-level shocking biological pressure, and instantly shook the attacking thorny vines into sawdust all over the sky. Seeing that the thorny vines were cleared in an instant, Bai Wubian's face suddenly became extremely ugly. He knew that Qin Chuan was stronger than him, but he didn't expect the gap to be so big. After a moment of reaction, he no longer had any intention of entangled with Qin Chuan, and directly used the shield method to escape from here. However, Qin Chuan did not give him any chance to escape. When he was about to escape, Qin Chuan directly exploded his mental power and attacked his sea of consciousness quickly and accurately, making it impossible for him to use escape techniques. Immediately after, Shangguan Yuehua also rushed over, attacking Bai Wubian from both front and back, completely blocking his way of escape. Yuehua, hallucinate him. Qin Chuan commanded Shangguan Yuehua who came over. Shangguan Yuehua didn't make a sound, silently bursting out his mental power and using hallucinogenic skills. The next second, Qin Chuan suddenly felt that the sea of consciousness deep in his brain was boiling, his consciousness gradually became blurred, and his five senses were confused. He was mentally attacked. The person who attacked him was Shangguan Yuehua not far away. Yuehua, what are you doing? Qin Chuan's eyes widened and he looked at Shangguan Yuehua in disbelief. Shangguan Yuehua cherished the words like gold and said, kill you. Hearing this, Qin Chuan's face turned extremely ugly. At this time, he was clearly aware of something. Shangguan Yuehua, the deputy city lord who has always been trusted by him, valued by him, and has high hopes for him, is just like the other deputy city lord Bai Weibi, both are fucking rapists. Yuehua, you hit it deeply enough. With his higher biological level than Shangguan Yuehua, Qin Chuan quickly blocked her mental attack, and his face became as gloomy as water and as black as ink. Bai Wubian and Shangguan Yuehua have always been at odds with each other in the city. In the end, both of them were raped and in the same gang. What a good disguise. Yuehua, just deal with him. There is no need to pursue and kill him. There is no need. Bai Wubian, who had recovered, quickly flew to the other side of Shangguan Yuehua and flanked Qin Chuan with her. Bai Wubian's only goal now is to delay Qin Chuan and let other accomplices kill Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan. Of course, it would be best if both of them could be captured alive and brought back to the Holy Land of the Sun and Moon. Other side. Lin Zichen held Shen Qinghan and flew at high speed, leaving harsh sonic booms in the air. It only takes half a minute. Lin Zichen carried Shen Qinghan and flew nearly 100 miles away from the center of the battlefield. When he was about to pass over a grassland, Lin Zichen felt a familiar scent below. Very familiar. It's Sujuju's breath. Lin Zichen looked down along the direction from which the breath came, and what he saw immediately was Sujuju paralyzed on the grassland below, her body motionless. Take a closer look, you're still breathing. But his limbs didn't move, and his chest was still rising and falling. Lin Zichen did not hesitate, and immediately exploded his mental power to control objects in the air, sucked up the dying Sujuju from below, and hugged him to one side. Looking at Sujuju who was rescued and Shen Qinghan who was hugged on the other side, her pretty face was full of disbelief. Previously, she had witnessed Sujuju being blasted into nothingness by Bai Wubian's palm, leaving not even a hair behind. However, Sujuju, who had been blasted into nothingness by a legendary powerhouse, appeared with his body intact on the grassland below. This was simply unbelievable. Lin Zichen noticed the doubts and confusion on Shen Qinghan's face and explained to her, like a gecko, she has the ability to escape by cutting off her tail and can be resurrected indefinitely. Infinite resurrection. Shen Qinghan couldn't help but open her mouth and said with surprise, then doesn't she have immortality? Lin Zichen said, probably, but I guess there are some restrictions. Every time you cut off your tail to escape, you have to pay some price, otherwise it would be too outrageous. Shen Qinghan said nothing and just nodded, feeling that what Lin Zichen said made sense. At this time, looking at Su Juju who was so weak that he was about to die, he said intermittently in a voice as thin as a mosquito. Me, every time I cut off my tail to escape, I need to consume a tail. Now there is only the last tail left. If I die again, I will really die. Su Juju was worried that Lin Zichen thought she could be resurrected indefinitely, so he would treat her casually, regardless of her life or death. Based on this, she had to make it clear to Lin Zichen that she only had one life left. Lin Zichen did not choose to believe it. He didn't believe that Su Juju really only had one life left. Although he didn't believe it, he didn't verify it. Lin Ziai, this is not the direction back to the city. Where are we going? Shen Qinghan found that the direction of flight was wrong and immediately expressed doubts. Lin Zichen patiently explained to her, there have been too many rapes. The city is not a good place to go until the city lord completely solves the problem. Shen Qinghan, you mean, there may still be many people raping people in the city? It's not possible, it's 100%. After Lin Zichen finished speaking, he added, even the deputy city lord of city number 1 can be a traitor. Now someone tells me that the city lord Qin Chuan is also a traitor. I don't find it strange at all. Hearing what he said, Shen Qinghan's expression changed slightly. How come there are so many people raping? There have been so many rapes? How does the Earth side still exist? Even the top management has been infiltrated like this. Logically speaking, shouldn't it have been destroyed long ago? Shen Qinghan was puzzled. Also puzzled was the dying Su Juju on the other side. As a saint from King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain, it is difficult for her to understand that a force can still maintain its operation when there are so many traitors within it. This is really a wonder in the world. A blink of an eye. Minutes passed. Lin Zichen flew hundreds of miles with the two women in the air at high speed. Eventually, he was too mentally exhausted and had to stop temporarily to rest in a forest below. He chose to land on a towering tree and sat casually on a thick branch that spread out. Then, with a thought, he took out various elixirs from the storage space to quickly restore his consumed mental power. Lindsay, she looks so weak. Should we give her a blood-bathing pill? Shen Qinghan was kind-hearted and did not want to see others suffering, so he wanted to treat Su Juju's injuries. But because I didn't have any opinion, I had to ask Lin Zichen's opinion habitually before doing anything, and I didn't have any idea of making my own decision. Lin Zichen said warmly, of course, these are small things. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to ask my opinion on everything. Hearing this, Shen Qinghan also picked up a relatively good quality blood-bathing pill and carefully stuffed it into Su Juju's mouth. The blood-bathing pill melted in the mouth and instantly turned into strands of warm current flowing into Su Juju's body, nourishing every cell in her body and repairing the damage. Under the nourishment of Yudan. Soon, Su Juju, who was originally bloodless, suddenly turned rosy. However, his mental state still looked very bad. This is a serious injury to the soul, which cannot be cured by the blood-bath pill. Seeing this, Shen Qinghan took another soul-nourishing pill and stuffed it into Su Juju's mouth to repair her soul. However, the name of the soul-nourishing pill only sounds very cool, and the effect of repairing the soul is just that. After Su Juju took the soul-nourishing pill, his seriously injured soul was not significantly repaired. In this regard, Shen Qinghan was powerless. She helped everything she was supposed to, but Su Juju still looked as sick as ever. Next, Su Juju can only rely on her own self-healing ability to repair physical damage. On the side, Lin Zichen took out all the dozen or so blood demon flowers in the storage space. This is the evolutionary resource that he and Shen Qinghan picked up when they explored the dense forest. Eat half of it each. Lin Zichen said and handed half of the blood demon flower to Shen Qinghan, asking her to eat it, refine it and absorb it to increase the strength of qi and blood in her body. Shen Qinghan shook his head, did not take these blood devil flowers, but said, you can eat it. Your biological level has already reached the rare 9th level. If you evolve one more level, you will be an epic level creature. All the evolutionary resources you will get next will be given to you. I will help you evolve to an epic level creature first. Seeing that Shen Qinghan had said this, Lin Zichen was not polite to her. Okay, just give me these blood demon flowers to eat, and I will make them up for you after I evolve to the epic level. After saying that, Lin Zichen took all the blood demon flowers in his mouth, swallowed them in his belly and refined them. Over time, the blood demon flowers swallowed by Lin Zichen were refined and absorbed one after another. At the same time, the strength of qi and blood in Lin Zichen's body was also soaring, and there was a faint tendency to break through to the epic level. This critical state lasted for about 10 seconds. Suddenly, Lin Zichen's eyes opened. The biological pressure emanating from his body far exceeded the rare 9th level, reaching the epic level that could make him a giant. P.S. Set the bowls, please recommend monthly tickets. End of chapter. Chapter 276 The Flower God Appears. Hey! Lin Zichen exhaled a deep breath and opened his clear and sharp eyes. Then he calmed down and focused his mind, carefully sensing his evolved body. The blood and qi became hundreds of times more abundant. The sea of consciousness became vast and boundless. The whole body was greatly strengthened. Especially the attribute of spiritual consciousness, the coverage area was hundreds of times larger than before. As long as the mental power was dispersed, it could instantly cover the area within a radius of 100 miles, and could clearly sense any tiny flying insect inside. Is this an epic creature? So powerful! I have read in books before that the bodies of epic creatures are so strong that they can withstand nuclear bombs. I don't know if it is really so exaggerated. Lin Zichen's mind was full of thoughts, and he had a bold idea to try the power of nuclear bombs. Shen Qinghan, who was standing by, sensed the biological pressure emanating from him, which was obviously a level stronger than when he opened his eyes, and asked excitedly. Lin Zi, have you successfully evolved to the epic level? Yes, I have evolved to the epic level. Lin Zichen had a faint smile on his face. Hearing this, Shen Qinghan suddenly smiled and her pretty face flushed with excitement. Great! You have finally evolved to the epic level. You will be able to protect me better in the future. Shen Qinghan said jokingly, full of joy in her words, and was very happy for Lin Zichen. On the other side, Su Juju saw that Lin Zichen had evolved into an epic creature casually, and she was stunned for a moment, her beautiful eyes widened, and her face was full of disbelief. She couldn't understand how Lin Zichen did it. She wondered why Lin Zichen had evolved into an epic creature so easily when he just did nothing but refine and absorb a dozen blood demon flowers. Could it be that because of his special physique, he has a better efficiency in refining and absorbing natural materials and treasures? I don't understand. I can't figure it out at all. Su Juju was puzzled. Lin Zichen knew that she didn't understand, but he didn't mean to explain. Seeing that they had almost rested, Lin Zichen said to Shen Qinghan and Su Juju, this place is still too close to the center of the battlefield. For safety reasons, we will continue to set off and move away. Okay, I'll listen to you. Shen Qinghan didn't consume any energy at all. She relied on Lin Zichen to fly the whole way. It doesn't matter when she sets off. The same goes for Su Juju. Soon, Lin Zichen held the two women one on each side and flew high into the sky, flying away at a very fast speed. Flying casually, without any destination, just flying fast. Lin Zichen's only purpose in flying was to quickly move away from the center of the battlefield. Legendary strongmen can cross the void with a thought. If they don't stay away, they may be affected at any minute. Su Juju noticed that Lin Zichen was flying aimlessly, with no destination at all, just to get away from the center of the battlefield. She hesitated for a moment, then suggested with a hint of pleading, Benefactor, if it is just to get away from the battlefield and not be affected, why don't we fly to the East region? She changed the name of Lin Zichen from Little Bed Slave to Benefactor. If possible, she actually didn't want to call Lin Zichen Benefactor. But there was no way, except for Little Bed Slave, she felt awkward calling anything else. It just so happened that she was indeed saved by Lin Zichen, so she might as well call him Benefactor. I can guarantee that as Earthlings, you will not be harmed when you go to the East region. The rescuer my aunt asked me to call is a strong man with principles. Su Juju added this sentence because she was afraid that Lin Zichen would have concerns. After hearing what she said, Lin Zichen refused without thinking, it's impossible to go to the East region. You are not worthy of my trust. Even if Su Juju is trustworthy, he will not go to the East region. The people of the Sun Moon Holy Land and the Land of Desolation must know that the owner of King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain has an old lover in the East region. Therefore, they also know that if the owner of King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain gets into trouble, he will definitely send people to the East region for help. Based on this point, the road to the East region is now full of people from the Sun Moon Holy Land and the Land of Desolation, who are used to intercept any King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain fox girl who wants to go to the East region for help. Su Juju is just a stranger to him. If it weren't for the achievement task of mutual benefit and symbiosis, he would not even save Su Juju before. In this situation, it is impossible to take Su Juju to the East region to convey a message for help. Benefactor, what should I do to let you take me to the East region to convey a message for help? Su Juju asked in a very humble tone. Lin Zichen refused decisively again, no matter what, I will not take you to the East region and put me and her in danger. This she refers to Shen Qinghan. Benefactor, if you can take me to the East region, I am willing to give you my Yuan Yin. The creatures nourished by my Yuan Yin can rapidly grow their sea of consciousness, thereby greatly improving their mental strength. Although she was rejected twice, Su Juju still did not give up and was still trying to beg. Yuan Yin? Her first time? Lin Zichen was a little surprised. He didn't expect that such a charming Su Juju was still a virgin. However, he had no interest in this. Although Su Juju was beautiful and had the bonus of being a beast-eared girl, he was still not interested. In his life, he only recognized Shen Qinghan and never thought of touching other opposite sexes. With this idea, he calmly refused for the third time. I said, I will not go to the East region no matter what. If you bother me again, I will let you go now. Hearing this, Su Juju's face was full of despair. She knew that if Lin Zichen refused to help, she would never be able to reach the East region. And if she failed to reach the East region, the King Kaiyu ancient mountain would really be conquered by the Sun and Moon Holy Land and the Land of Destruction. At that time, all the fox girls in the mountain would become bed slaves without dignity. Thinking of this, even if there might be a risk of being let go, Su Juju still begged. Benefactor, please help me once. Whether it succeeds or not, we will let you deal with it afterwards. Whether it is a bed slave or a maid, I will agree to anything you ask. Ah! Su Juju just finished speaking, and suddenly opened her mouth and shouted. It was Lin Zichen who let go. He kept his word. If Su Juju bothered him again, he would let her go. Su Juju's soul was still seriously injured at this time. She couldn't use her mental power to fly in the air. The moment she was released, she began to fall freely and fell straight to the ground. Seeing this, Shen Qinghan immediately shouted anxiously, Lin Ziai, save her quickly. She only has one life left. Her body is still so weak. She will definitely die if she falls. Whether she lives or dies has nothing to do with us. Lin Zichen said coldly. Seeing that Lin Zichen had no intention of saving her, Shen Qinghan had to use his mental power to control Su Juju, who was falling freely, from a distance of hundreds of meters. At the moment of being controlled, Su Juju was already sweating coldly. She didn't lie. She really only had one life left now. Once she fell from thousands of meters high, she would definitely die. Thank you, thank you. A few seconds later, Su Juju was pulled up by Shen Qinghan. As soon as she was pulled up, she expressed her gratitude to Shen Qinghan with a face full of fear, and she was still in shock. She didn't expect that Lin Zichen would be so cruel. He said he would put her down and put her down, without caring about her life or death. This time she was kind and saved you, but you won't be so lucky next time. Lin Zichen warned without emotion. This time, Su Juju didn't dare to die again, and said a little aggrievedly, Benefactor, I know. She gave up seeking help from Lin Zichen. Now she just wanted to live well, only by living, she would have a chance to reach the East region. As for King Kaiyu ancient mountain, she could only pray in her heart that they could hold on for a little longer, until she could reach the East region by herself. Buzz! 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 Suddenly, several figures with extremely strong biological pressure appeared in the distance behind. Lin Zichen sensed the existence of these people, and immediately dispersed his mental power to focus on sensing the biological information of these people. This perception found that they were all members of the survey team. Moreover, they were the strongest people in the survey team, and their biological levels were as high as epic level. Are they traitors who are chasing me? Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. Lin Zichen likes to think of things in the worst direction, and directly assumes that the people flying in the same direction are traitors who were bribed by aliens. And he happened to be right. Not long after, he was surrounded by several members of the survey team who caught up with him and were not allowed to fly away. What are you doing? Lin Zichen looked around at the people, and did not rush to kill them instantly, but asked this question. Although the possibility of misunderstanding is very small, he still chose to confirm it again. However, the people who surrounded him were too lazy to talk to him, and suddenly attacked him without saying a word. They all wanted to make a quick decision and capture Lin Zichen alive and send him to the Sun and Moon Holy Land to ask for credit. Seeing that these uninvited guests had no martial ethics and opened fire without saying a word, Lin Zichen did not indulge them and used a terrifying biological pressure. His biological level was not too high, only the first level of epic, but the biological pressure that burst out instantly was comparable to that of a strong man of the middle level of epic. As this terrifying biological pressure spread completely, the people around him who attacked him were instantly squeezed and exploded into several groups of blood mist, which filled the air with an unpleasant smell of blood. These people did not understand until the last moment before their death why they, who were as high as the epic level of biological, suddenly died tragically. Lin Zichen did not dislike the blood beads around him, and immediately chose to swallow them. After swallowing, the empty space deep in the brain popped up a prompt message as usual, telling him what atlas he had successfully opened and what biological attributes he had obtained. For these attributes, Lin Zichen just glanced at them casually and did not care too much. There are too many biological attributes now, and it is difficult to attract his attention unless the effect is particularly outstanding. All dead. Sujuju was shocked beyond words after witnessing several epic creatures being crushed by Lin Zichen so easily. She couldn't imagine why a strong man of the same level as Lin Zichen would be beaten without any chance to fight back and killed instantly when facing Lin Zichen. This didn't make sense. As the saint of King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain, she had seen and heard of all kinds of geniuses since she was young. But she had never heard of such an exaggerated genius as Lin Zichen, and her cognition was directly shattered. There are so many traitors. Lin Zichen looked at the few people he killed instantly, and their bodies turned into blood beads all over the sky. He felt a little sad and confused. There are too many traitors on the earth side. I don't know how the top leaders stabilized the situation. It's really puzzling. Just as Lin Zichen was thinking about this. Not bad. A soft woman's voice suddenly sounded from Lin Zichen's ears. Hearing the voice, Lin Zichen's face suddenly changed slightly, and his heart sank to the bottom of the valley. The voice came from not far away. However, Lin Zichen could not sense the existence of any living creature not far away. He couldn't even sense the existence of the other party, which meant that the other party's strength was far superior to his. My sun and moon holy land needs people like you to join. The soft voice just now sounded again. At the moment the voice sounded, a burst of intoxicating flower fragrance suddenly filled the air. At the same time, a huge flower bud emerged from the void, opened an extremely dark abyss mouth, and bit towards Lin Zichen and the other two at a very fast speed. Lin Zichen wanted to resist, but was horrified to find that his blood and spirit could not be used, as if they were locked. Flower fragrance. It must be the flower fragrance just now. That flower fragrance locked my blood and spirit. Lin Zichen was keenly aware of this. He did not give up. When he found that his blood and spirit could not be used, he immediately thought and activated biological attributes such as higher spirit, invulnerable to poisons, and Lord of the Forest. The strength of biological attributes related to poisons is linked to the level of mental power. As long as the mental power is high enough, you can be immune to poison. And the invulnerability to poison strengthens your body's resistance to poison and allows you to recover from the poisoning state as soon as possible. As for Lord of the Forest, its function is to control and pull out all the flower fragrance that has just been inhaled into the body. After such an operation, in just a blink of an eye, Lin Zichen was pleasantly surprised to find that the blood and spirit locked in his body were instantly unlocked. After being able to use his mental power, Lin Zichen did not dare to delay for a moment. He quickly burst out his mental power and fled madly with Shen Qinghan and Sujuju. Unfortunately, before he could escape much distance, he was completely blocked by a crack that suddenly opened in the next second. Soon, a woman in a pink dress walked out of the crack. The moment she appeared, the whole sky was instantly filled with an intoxicating flower fragrance. Just a slight inhalation of this flower fragrance can make people deeply trapped in it. On the other side, when Sujuju saw this woman for the first time, his pupils shrank slightly, and his face was full of disbelief. The flower god actually came in person. P.S. Put the bowl, ask for monthly tickets and recommendation tickets. End of this chapter. Chapter 277 Reunion with Qi Qingmo. See God? Just Shen Qinghan and number 039, S-Guard. The flower god stepped out of the crack in the void, and an intoxicating floral fragrance instantly filled the entire sky. She was wearing a pink long dress, with a faint pink and bright halo lingering around her body, like a flower blooming at dawn, making people see a ray of the brightest dawn, and feel that they had lived in darkness before, and only when they saw her did they see the light. Lin Zichen didn't know that the woman in front of him was the flower god in the mouths of many people. He only knew that the woman in front of him was very strong. Except for the unfathomable Qi Qingmo, the woman in front of him was stronger than the strong men he had seen in all these years since he was born. Stronger than Qin Chuan, the city lord of city number 1. Stronger than Ye Yongsheng, the deputy state lord. Facing such a strong enemy, Lin Zichen suddenly calmed down somehow. No more panic. No more despair. It seemed that the woman in front of him was too strong, making him lose all these emotions. The son of the abyss, the carrier of the water god's revival, such an important person, the earth side did not send strong people to secretly protect him, which is really puzzling. The flower god looked at Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan, and spoke softly with some confusion. As for Sujuju, the youngest saint in the history of King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain, he simply ignored her. In his eyes, the fox girls of King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain are just a group of parasites who can only rely on the strong to survive, no different from the prostitutes sold in brothels. They are even worse than prostitutes who don't talk about feelings, and there is no reason to pay attention to them. On the opposite side, Lin Zichen's expression suddenly became solemn. The carrier of the water god's revival? The son of the abyss? Is this my and Hanan's identity? Hanan is not the water god, but the carrier of the water god's revival. This is good news, proving that Hanan is not a reincarnation. And me, the son of the abyss? What is this? Is it also some ancient and powerful inheritance? Lin Zichen's mind is full of thoughts. At this time, Sujuju, who was hugged by him, whispered, "He is the flower god of the Sun and Moon Holy Land." Flower god? Hearing these two words, Lin Zichen's heart trembled slightly. Not fear, but surprise. He never dreamed that there would be a mythical strongman who would personally capture him. It's just a projection. The flower god's voice was calm, and the halo around him became brighter. The next second, he activated his natural lover's ability, and the halo around him instantly spread out and poured into the depths of the Tianmen of Lin Zichen and the other two. When the halo poured in, Lin Zichen felt that he had fallen in love with the flower god in front of him and wanted to give everything he had to the flower god. Great flower god! I would like to be your loyal believer. I will give you everything. Such a whisper suddenly sounded in the depths of Lin Zichen's brain, like a devil's sound piercing his ears, eroding his mind and changing his consciousness. At this moment, he realized something. Could it be that the reason why there are so many traitors on the earth side is the work of the flower god? Did the flower god diffuse the halo and forcibly modify the consciousness of the traitors? No. This is not right. If the flower god really has this ability, why doesn't he directly control all the people on earth? People who can be eroded by the halo are not firm in their positions and have the intention of becoming traitors. Thinking of this, Lin Zichen's mind was shocked and he instantly broke through the erosion of the halo. Seeing that the halo could not erode Lin Zichen, the flower god's beautiful eyes opened slightly and felt incredible. Taking advantage of the brief moment when the flower god was stunned, Lin Zichen immediately burst out with both blood and spirit, and fled with Shen Qinghan and Sujuju at the fastest speed. It is difficult to escape in front of a mythical strongman. It can almost be said to be impossible. But you can't not try just because it is impossible. What if he really escapes? With this unrealistic idea, Lin Zichen burned his blood crazily and flew at the fastest speed in his life. However, unrealistic is unrealistic after all. Before he flew far, the air around him was torn into countless shocking cracks. These cracks were intertwined one after another, forming an airtight net that enveloped Lin Zichen. Faced with such a large coverage, Lin Zichen had nowhere to escape, and was tied up by the net on the spot, unable to move. This time he was really going to be captured and taken to the Sun and Moon Holy Land. Lin Zichen murmured in his heart and chose to give up resistance. It was not that he was unwilling to resist. But in front of the mythical creature, he was only epic level 1, and he was powerless to resist. But the good news was that this mythical creature had no intention of killing him, but just wanted to take him back to the Sun and Moon Holy Land. As long as he was alive, everything would be fine, and there was still the possibility of a comeback. Boom! Suddenly, a deafening explosion came from the ground below. It seemed that something terrible broke out of the ground. A large amount of soil and rocks were blown away. Smoke and dust rolled. The whole land was shaking violently. The next second. Buzz! A swift sound of breaking through the air sounded. Lin Zichen immediately looked in the direction of the sound, and the scene that came into his eyes was a woman in a Taoist robe rising into the sky from the smoke and dust below. Below the Taoist robe woman, countless thorny vines with green light were chasing after her, like tentacles hidden under the sand, trying to grab the Taoist robe woman and drag her down. Pavilion Master? The first time he saw the Taoist robe woman, Lin Zichen's eyes were full of surprise. It has been so long since he entered the source. He never thought that he would meet Qi Qingmo again under such circumstances. Lin Ziai, it's the Pavilion Master. Shen Qinghan shouted excitedly. In her heart, Qi Qingmo is the most powerful being. As long as Qi Qingmo appears, it means that the danger she is facing now can be easily solved. However, when she also noticed the thorny vines with strong vitality and green light under Qi Qingmo's feet, her eyebrows suddenly frowned and her whole body became nervous. Because she found that Qi Qingmo was running a little embarrassed at this time. He was running away at a high speed throughout the whole process, and there was no sign of counterattack. This shows that the enemy who controlled those green light thorny vines to chase Qi Qingmo is much stronger than Qi Qingmo. And judging from the thorny vines, the opponent is most likely a strong man from the Sun and Moon Holy Land. Sun and Moon Holy Land, this is a deadly enemy. This is bad news among bad news. On the other side, Qi Qingmo rushed out from underground and saw the presence of Lin Zichen and the other two at the first time. After seeing the three people, she did not hesitate at all, and decisively waved her jade hand to suck the three people to her side. With a thought, she shattered the restraints on the three people and fled from here with them at a high speed. She did not know Sujuju, but she knew Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan. Since Sujuju was with the two, she would take them away with her. Sizzle! 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 In front of Qi Qingmo's flight, a series of crisp and pleasant tearing sounds were heard. The air was torn apart, revealing a series of bottomless void cracks. These cracks crisscrossed, forming an airtight giant net, covering Qi Qingmo with a force that covered the sky and the sun. It was the flower god who took action. His body was a void chaos flower that had run through several epochs, produced in a mysterious abyss, and was extremely good at using void-related means. Facing the giant net intercepted by the flower god, Qi Qingmo did not even look at it, and directly burst out the blood and qi power of destroying the world, smashing the giant net that was rushing towards him. Then, accompanied by the sky full of void debris, he flew away at a speed that was faster than imagination. In just a blink of an eye, he disappeared from the perception range of the flower god. That damn Taoist woman! Looking at the direction where Qi Qingmo disappeared, the flower god was so angry that he trembled all over, wishing to peel Qi Qingmo's skin, tear Qi Qingmo's bones, and drink Qi Qingmo's blood to relieve the hatred in his heart. After calming down a little, the flower god immediately rushed into the depths of the ground along the green light thorn vines, and went to check the situation inside in a hurry to see how the sleeping wood god was doing. After a while, the flower god came to the place where the wood god was sleeping. A huge ancient tomb. The flower god went straight to the deepest part of the ancient tomb, looking at the tombstone that was broken into two halves and the green thorny vines spreading from under the tombstone, and he was so angry that he gnashed his teeth. The sleeping wood god was awakened. This means that the wood god's reverse growth in this era was terminated prematurely, and his strength was weakened to a certain extent. One day, I must kill that damn Taoist woman with my own hands. The flower god murmured gloomily. As soon as the voice fell, from the depths of the ground under the tombstone, a human-shaped strange fruit suddenly floated up. This human-shaped strange fruit looked like a 7 or 8-year-old child, naked, curled up in the air like an unborn baby. About half an hour passed. The childlike humanoid fruit slowly opened its cloudy pupils and stared at the flower god in front of it with a hint of dissatisfaction. Why did you let the outsiders enter the tomb of the gods and destroy my slumber? Lord Wood God, listen to my explanation. The flower god's beautiful face showed a trace of fear that a mythical creature should not have. The humanoid fruit did not listen to the flower god's explanation, and instantly shot out countless dry and thick vines from its body, tightly binding the flower god in front of it like an octopus's tentacles. The next second. Ah! The flower god, a mythical creature, screamed in pain. It went in. Many of the vines that bound him penetrated deeply into his body, ruthlessly sucking the essence in his body. As the essence continued to flow away, the flower god, who had a full face just now, suddenly became haggard like dry wood. After that, he was released and thrown casually, and fell to the ground with a plop, dying. It won't happen again. Leaving behind such an indifferent word, the humanoid fruit returned to the depths of the ground and took root in an underground river full of essence. On the other side, Qi Qingmo, like Lin Zichen before, was flying at high speed without direction the whole time. He didn't care where he was going. He only cared about flying fast and staying away from the place where he had just broken out of the ground. Master, how come you are here? Flying at high speed, Lin Zichen couldn't use his mouth to transmit the sound, so he used the way of blood transmission to transmit the blood in his body into Qi Qingmo's body, thus conveying his words to Qi Qingmo. Qi Qingmo received the message from him and soon sent him a message in the same way. It's hard to explain this matter for a while, I'll tell you later when I have time. Okay. Lin Zichen didn't say anything nonsense, but just responded sparingly. Now is the time to escape, he is worried that his words will affect Qi Qingmo. In this way, several people flew silently in the sky. I don't know how long it took. When Qi Qingmo led Lin Zichen and the other two through a vast ocean, the ocean suddenly rushed up with huge waves, forming a terrifying giant hand that slapped Qi Qingmo. Facing the sudden attack, Qi Qingmo was not panicked at all, and his blood and qi burst directly to shatter the attacking giant hand into water droplets all over the sky. Get out! You are not welcome in the East region. If you dare to stay any longer, today you will be gone without a chance to return, a Taoist woman. The water droplets that were just shattered by the power of blood and qi condensed into a 100-meter-long giant with an extremely strong body at the speed of light, staring at Qi Qingmo fiercely and warning him. Qi Qingmo was notorious in the Source Land, and wherever he went, there was chaos and he was not welcomed. At the beginning, the strong men in the Source Land wanted to kill Qi Qingmo, a strong man on earth who had no sense of boundaries, on their own territory, but after several attempts, they failed and caused greater losses. At this point, almost no strong man from the Source Land is willing to provoke Qi Qingmo. Basically, they drive him away when they meet him. No longer thinking of killing him like before. Facing the warning of the 100-meter giant, Qi Qingmo was about to say that he just happened to pass by and had no ill intentions. But before he could explain, Sujuju on the side shouted with all her strength. Sea God, King Kaiu Ancient Mountain was attacked by the Tree Elder of the Sun and Moon Holy Land and the Lord of Silence in the Land of Destruction. My aunt is now alone and needs you to rescue her. Sujuju shouted very loudly. So loud that the sound from her cherry mouth could directly shake the sea surface below. Sujuju never dreamed that the direction Qi Qingmo fled was exactly the East region. This is really a case of finding a place to hide after searching for a long time, and getting it without any effort. While Sujuju was shouting. On the other side, Lin Zichen looked at the 100-meter giant made of seawater in front of him, and the whole person was stunned. He had seen the face of this 100-meter giant in front of him. He had seen it on the murals of the underwater ruins. He was one of the underwater creatures worshipping the mysterious woman. He was the guard in charge of the gate. In the murals, this 100-meter giant in front of him was kneeling in front of the door to worship the mysterious woman. He worshipped more devoutly than any underwater creature in the murals. He was the most loyal believer of the mysterious woman. Lin Zichen had guessed the identity of the mysterious woman countless times and felt that it was very likely that she was the water god. And the water god was closely related to Shen King Han. Worshipping the water god was almost equivalent to worshipping Shen King Han. Even the overlord of the East region, the sea god, had to worship the water god like a dog. Lin Zichen could not imagine how powerful this water god with very little information must be to make a mythical creature willing to be her dog. The pinnacle of the mythical level? Or, above the mythical level? If there is really above the mythical level, what level is it? At this moment, Lin Zichen's mind was full of thoughts about the water god. P.S. Put the bowl on the table, and ask for monthly votes and recommendation tickets. End of this chapter. Chapter 278 Mythical Battle. Prelude. What did you say? The sea god, the 100-meter giant formed by the condensation of seawater in front of him, looked at Sujiju beside Qi King Mo with a serious face and asked, King Kaiu Ancient Mountain, was attacked by the old tree and the Lord of Silence. It was not until then that the sea god noticed the existence of Sujiju. Before, all his attention was on Qi King Mo, and he was always alert to this Taoist-robed woman who had turned the various regions of the source upside down. Yes, the old tree and the Lord of Silence are jointly attacking King Kaiu Ancient Mountain. Now only the ant is struggling to maintain the mountain protection formation to resist the joint attack of the two. Sujiju answered anxiously. Although she was anxious, she did not dare to urge a mythical creature to go to King Kaiu Ancient Mountain for rescue now, immediately, and just stated the matter honestly. The sea god did not believe Sujuju's words completely. He was able to evolve from a weak aquatic creature to a hegemon who ruled the eastern region. Caution is an indispensable quality. Otherwise, no matter how talented he is, he would have been wiped out in the depths of history in various crises. Wow! There was a loud noise. The 100-meter giant formed by the condensation of seawater collapsed into countless water droplets falling on the sea surface, splashing water. When the 100-meter giant collapsed, a nimble figure broke out of the sea surface. Instantly rose to the sky and parallel to Qi King Mo. It was a man, the body of the sea god. His appearance was the same as the 100-meter giant just now, but his body became more than 2 meters tall, with a flesh and blood body full of vitality. Under the gaze of several people, the sea god conjured a crystal-clear bead in his hand out of thin air, dripped a drop of blood essence on the bead, and muttered strange mumbling in his mouth. Shen King Han listened to this mumbling, and his expression moved slightly. Then, he turned his head to look at Lin Zichen beside him, and secretly transmitted his voice through his qi and blood. Lin Zichen, this mumbling sound is very similar to the murmur in my mind before. It's not the sound and color that are similar, but the language sounds very similar. Lin Zichen was not surprised at all, but just transmitted his voice calmly. This just proves that the inheritance in your body is the water god. The water god and the sea god speak the same language. This is very reasonable. Shen King Han nodded and agreed deeply. Lin Zichen transmitted his qi and blood again. Have you noticed that the sea god in front of you looks exactly like a certain person in the mural we saw in the underwater ruins before? What do you mean? Shen King Han didn't find that the sea god looked the same as any person in the mural. She was far inferior to Lin Zichen in her ability to discover details. Lin Zichen explained to her, the mural we saw before showed a group of people looking at extremely high-level aquatic creatures, all worshipping a mysterious woman lying in a shell with awe. I guess the mysterious woman in the shell is most likely the so-called water god. And the sea god in front of us appears in that mural. The role he plays in the mural is a strong gatekeeper. Even though he is far away at the gate, he kneels on the ground like other aquatic creatures, worshipping the mysterious woman with a pious look. A mythical strongman who can dominate a region is actually just a gatekeeper. After listening to Lin Zichen's explanation, Shen King Han was shocked. She couldn't imagine that the sea god in front of her, who was so powerful, was just a small gatekeeper. In this comparison, how powerful must the water god be? On the other side, during the period when Lin Zichen and Shen King Han communicated through qi and blood transmission, Qi King Mo heard everything. She is also playing with qi and blood now, and she is also the ancestor in this area. Lin Zichen and Shen King Han's blood transmission could not escape her perception at all. She just listened quietly to the communication between the two without any action. On the opposite side, the sea god was still mumbling to the bead in his hand. Suddenly, the color of the bead changed from crystal clear light blue to rich black. Seeing this scene, the sea god frowned and looked extremely solemn. The bead in his hand can watch the future direction of a living being. What he just watched was the future direction of Sumai Xiao, the owner of King Kaiu Ancient Mountain. The color of the bead turned black, indicating that the future direction is very bad. And the rich black means extremely bad. Abnormally bad refers to death, or a worse life than death. At this moment, the sea god could no longer sit still. Sumai Xiao, the owner of King Kaiu Ancient Mountain, was an old lover he met when he was still a rare creature. The friendship of several epochs was enough for him to risk his life to rescue Sumai Xiao. Lady in Taoist robes, come with me to King Kaiu Ancient Mountain to participate in the rescue. You can ask for any reward you want. The sea god opened his blue eyes that were as rippled as the sea surface, and looked directly at Qi Qingmo, who was at the same level as him. Qi Qingmo said lightly, I want the bead in your hand. Take it. The sea god threw the bead in his hand to Qi Qingmo without any hesitation. Then, he threw out several crystal clear glass bottles filled with unknown liquids. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. These glass bottles contain the essence of the origin water, which takes at least one epoch to condense into a small bottle. The essence of the origin water is one of the important substances of the origin of all things. According to the records in the ancient ruins, the ancestors of all creatures in the origin were born in a vast ocean composed of the essence of the origin water. It is rumored that the water god, one of the oldest gods of the origin, is the first creature born from the essence of the origin water. It is no exaggeration to say that only one drop of the essence of the origin water can allow a legendary creature that has reached the end of its evolutionary path to break the limits of evolution and have the possibility of evolving into a mythical creature. The reason why I gave you these bottles of precious essence of the origin water is that I hope you can go all out in the next rescue of King Kaiu Ancient Mountain. The sea god was afraid that Qi Qingmo would not work hard, so he gave her a few more bottles of the essence of the origin water. Qi Qingmo waved her jade hand and took over several glass bottles thrown to her. The moment her hand touched the glass bottle, she immediately sensed that there was endless vitality inside. This is a good thing. Qi Qingmo's eyes lit up. On the other side, Lin Zichen stared at the essence of the origin water in the glass bottle, thinking about the introduction of the origin water essence by the sea god just now, and he wanted to ask Qi Qingmo for a bottle of the origin water essence. He wanted to give it to Shen Qinghan instead of himself. Shen Qinghan has always had a special connection with water since the moment she was born. The most important thing is that she is still suspected to be the carrier of the water god's revival. He was thinking, if Shen Qinghan had a bottle of origin water essence, could her biological level soar directly? Unfortunately, it was just a thought. The origin water essence is such a precious evolutionary resource, it must be of great benefit to Qi Qingmo himself. Even if he knelt in front of Qi Qingmo and begged for a bottle, Qi Qingmo probably wouldn't give it to him. Just when he was thinking about these things, the sea god urged Qi Qingmo, there is no time to stay here and chat, we will set off now. The moment the words fell, the sea god flashed and disappeared in front of everyone. Seeing this, Qi Qingmo quickly followed Lin Zichen and the other two. P.S. I was out on business today, so I had to delay the update, resulting in only a small chapter of 2,000 words, sorry. End of this chapter. Chapter 279 The Night King and number 039, S Sun. Raid. Boom. In the sky, a huge sound of breaking through the air resounded throughout the sky. Qi Qingmo led Lin Zichen and the other two to rush to King Kaiu Ancient Mountain at the fastest speed. Wherever they passed, the air exploded, and a large number of bottomless void cracks broke out, permeating a trace of icy and piercing breath. Lin Zichen didn't want to go to King Kaiu Ancient Mountain. He was only at the first level of epic creatures, and he was not worthy of appearing on the battlefield of myth level. However, Qi Qingmo's flying speed was too fast. The huge pressure generated during the flight directly pressed his sea of consciousness into a chaos, making him unconscious and unable to speak at all. By the time he reacted, he had already entered the territory of King Kaiu Ancient Mountain. He relaxed a little. Lin Zichen's five senses gradually recovered, and soon he heard the sound of a huge fight not far away. He looked closely at the sound and found that it was the movement caused by the old tree and the Master of Silence joining forces to attack the King Kaiu Ancient Mountain's mountain protection formation. Boom! Suddenly, a deafening sound came. The next second, Lin Zichen saw that the light film covering the King Kaiu Ancient Mountain was instantly covered with shocking huge cracks, accompanied by a terrifying sound, shattered all over the ground like broken glass. That light film was the mountain protection formation of the King Kaiu Ancient Mountain. With the shattering of the mountain protection formation, it announced that Xu Lao and Ji Zhu had successfully broken through the King Kaiu Ancient Mountain together. On the other side, the sea god, who was flying in the front, saw that the mountain protection formation of the King Kaiu Ancient Mountain was broken, and immediately burned his blood to maximize his flying speed regardless of whether his body would leave hidden diseases. Then, in just a short breath of time, he arrived at the location of the mountain protection formation and rushed towards Xu Lao and Ji Zhu in anger. The moment he rushed, in an instant, the water within 100 miles seemed to have heard the call from God, and all rushed to the sky and rushed to where he was. surrounding his body, enveloping his body. It was just a blink of an eye. He turned into a 1,000-meter-tall water giant, and attacked Shilao and Jizue fiercely. Qi Qingmo, who was following closely behind, saw that the battle ahead was about to break out, and immediately left Lin Zichen and the other two behind, and rushed to the battlefield together to support the sea god. Over there on the battlefield, Shilao and Jizue had just teamed up to break through the mountain protection formation of King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain, and were about to attack the mountain master Sumai Xiao, who was in a weak state. At the moment they attacked, a water giant with a height that reached the sky appeared in front of them as fast as lightning, and slammed into them with a punch that could destroy the world. The fist was so powerful that it directly tore the air and illuminated the entire sky with a large piece of lightning. At the moment this punch was thrown, Shilao and Jizue felt the crisis. The former summoned a giant vine that reached the sky, forming a wooden wall that covered the sky and the sun to protect itself. The latter summoned a huge black circle that looked like a black hole, like a bloody mouth, swallowing up the earth-shattering punch that attacked. Just when the old man and the Lord of Silence thought they had successfully avoided this attack, suddenly, countless water droplets containing rich source power fell from the sky like bullets, pouring down directly on the old man and the Lord of Silence. At the same time, Sumai Xiao, who had taken a breath, and Qi Qingmo, who rushed to the battlefield, immediately supported the sea god. Sumai Xiao's eyes were shining with dazzling purple light, and she used the spiritual means she relied on to survive to launch a hallucinogenic attack on the old man and the Lord of Silence. Qi Qingmo was relatively simple and rough. He had a direct thought, and his whole body burst into blood. Suddenly, a stream of red light rushed towards the old man and the Lord of Silence, wanting to fight these two mythical strongmen in close combat. It was only a brief moment. The situation instantly changed from 1 versus 2 to 3 versus 2. The old tree and the Lord of Silence, who had an absolute advantage the moment before, fell into an absolute disadvantage the next moment. Under the joint attack of the three powerful men, the sea god, Qi Qingmo and Sumai Xiao, the old tree and the Lord of Silence did not choose to fight head-on, but turned around and evacuated without saying a word. They have survived from several epochs to the present day and evolved into mythical creatures that dominate one side. They rely not only on their evolutionary talents, but also on their ability to observe the situation. The current situation is unfavorable, and there is no need to stay and fight a big battle. The most correct thing to do is to escape quickly. Chase. The sea god dropped this word and pursued the old tree and the Lord of Silence at the first time. He did not want to let the old tree and the Lord of Silence go, and vowed to make them pay the price. Qi Qingmo quickly followed when he saw this. Sumai Xiao hesitated, worried that this was a trick to lure the tiger away from the mountain. But on second thought, even if it was a trick to lure the tiger away from the mountain, it would be a good thing. At least the battlefield was moved away from the King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain. If the battlefield was still on the King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain, when the battle entered a white-hot stage, the entire King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain would be destroyed by the aftermath of the battle. Thinking of this, Sumai Xiao quickly followed, and wanted to chase the fleeing tree old man and Lord Ji together with the sea god and Qi Qingmo. In an instant, the 5 mythical level strongmen were far away from the King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain, and it was unknown where they moved to fight. South region. In a dark cave, the Night King, wearing a black robe, quietly hung upside down on the smooth cave wall, closed his eyes and waited for the news from the tree old man. I don't know how long it has been. Suddenly, the Night King opened his dark eyes and received the news from the tree old man. The plan was successful. Successfully lured the sea god from the east region, and further led Poseidon to the magic circle. The Taoist woman is here too. Just right. Kill her to sacrifice to heaven. The Night King murmured darkly. The moment the voice fell, he suddenly opened his terrifying wings, tearing apart the space and rushing to his destination. After he disappears, a young man who was only 30 years old and whose biological level was already as high as the rare 9th level of Dzogchen, quickly said to his 4 personal guards. Let's go, let's rush to King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain immediately and capture all the good-looking fox girls to use as cauldrons. This young man is the only son of the Night King, named Ye Wuming. He has been coveting the fox girl from King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain for a long time. Especially Sujuju, who was a saint, thought about her day and night, dreaming of crushing her under him and loving her fiercely every day. Now that he had the opportunity to directly lead people to invade King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain, he couldn't miss it. Yes, young master. The 4 guards responded in unison and immediately followed Ye Wuming to King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain. His 4 guards were 2 men and 2 women. Both men are legendary strongmen and are responsible for ensuring his safety. Both women are epic-level strongmen with excellent figures and looks. The most important thing is that they know how to serve a man and stay by his side for his entertainment. At the foot of King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain, Lin Zichen channeled his mental power, carefully sensing everything around him, and thinking about where he should go next. I want to go back to city number 1, but the city is not very clean. I don't know how many people are hiding there, so it is very unsafe. I want to aimlessly stay away from the mythical battle, but I don't know which direction to go. Worried that if you accidentally choose the wrong direction, you will fall into a situation of eternal disaster. How about you two come up the mountain with me? Su Juju saw Lin Zichen's entanglement and took the initiative to invite him. After saying that, she added, with the efforts of several elders in the mountain protection formation will be repaired and restarted soon. It is very safe to stay in the mountain, far safer than going to other places. Lin Zichen couldn't think of any good place to go for the time being. After hearing what she said, he just followed her words and said, then there will be too much trouble. Don't bother me, it doesn't bother me at all. Su Juju forced out a smile. Lin Zichen is willing to go up the mountain, which is what she wishes for. There are many evolutionary resources in the ancient mountains of King Kaiu. As a saint, she wants to show Lin Zichen the evolutionary resources she has later to see if she can use this to keep Lin Zichen as a couple. Yes, a double monk. Now, she no longer dares to treat Lin Zichen as a bed slave like before. She knew she didn't deserve it. If it didn't work out, she would even be willing to be Lin Zichen's bed slave and let him do whatever he wanted. The fox girls in King Kaiu Ancient Mountain all have a somewhat naturally charming physique. As long as you can attach yourself to a powerful Taoist companion, you don't have to work hard in the future. You only need to spread your legs to evolve rapidly. This is the special thing about King Kaiu Fox Girl. The reason why King Kaiu Ancient Mountain has been able to stand in its original place for so many years is due to this. Soon, under the leadership of Su Juju, Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan went up the mountain. As soon as he reached the mountain, Lin Zichen immediately sensed several extremely strong energy bodies. He is a legendary powerhouse. In the small ancient mountain of King Kaiu, there are 7 legendary powerhouses. At this moment, each of these 7 legendary powerhouses were exhausted, their faces were pale, and their condition looked very sluggish. This is the cost of consuming the body's energy to maintain the operation of the mountain guarding formation. And now, these 7 legendary powerhouses have to continuously output their power to repair the mountain protecting formation without slacking off for a moment, and their physical condition is getting worse and worse visible to the naked eye. It was so bad that Lin Zichen felt that even though his biological level was only at the first level of epic, he could defeat these 7 legendary powerhouses with 1 against 7. That may be a bit of an exaggeration. But the fact is that these 7 legendary strongmen in King Kaiu Ancient Mountain are really weak now. You two come with me. I will take you to the treasure pavilion. In return for saving me, you can choose 10 things in there later. You can choose whatever you want. You don't have to be polite to me. As Su Juju walked, she said to Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan behind her. Lin Zichen felt excited when he heard that he could choose 10 things at will when he entered the treasure pavilion. Su Juju spoke again, in front of you is the treasure pavilion. I'll take you two in for a walk. First, take a look at what evolutionary resources there are. After you look at it, you can slowly select 10 items to take away. Good. Lin Zichen cherishes every word like gold, and there is no nonsense in it. And Shen Qinghan on the side, even more like an autistic person, never said a word from beginning to end. All the way. Lin Zichen saw many injured fox girls. This was when Shu Lao and Lord Ji jointly attacked the mountain protecting formation. The internal aftermath was so destructive that it directly injured the fox girl who was under the mountain protecting formation and whose biological level was not very high. Lin Zichen looked at the fox girls around him, and the more he looked at them, the more surprised he became. Along the way, not many fox girls looked at me, which was simply unbelievable. Not only that, even when Su Juju, a saint, came back, not many fox girls noticed her. Lin Zichen thought about it and felt that King Kaiu Ancient Mountain had just been attacked. Now the fox girls were busy repairing the mountain protection formation and had no time to pay attention to other insignificant things. Although the saint has a high status, it does not seem to be important in the face of the attack on the ancient mountain. The mountain is too chaotic now. The mountain master is not here. As a saint, I have to come out to take charge of the situation. I will take you to the treasure pavilion to choose rewards after the mountain protection formation is restarted. Halfway on the road, Su Juju suddenly stopped and said. She played a trick. In fact, as a saint, she has no right to take the evolutionary resources in the treasure pavilion at will. The evolutionary resources there belong to every fox girl in King Kaiu Ancient Mountain. Only the mountain master is qualified to take them out at will. However, the mountain master Su Mai Xiao is the aunt who loves her the most. As long as she wants, she can apply to the mountain master Su Mai Xiao and take them out at will. But now Su Mai Xiao is not here, she can only wait for Su Mai Xiao to come back. Lin Zichen didn't understand the reason. Seeing Su Juju said to wait until the mountain protection formation is restarted before taking it, he replied calmly, well, you go and do your thing first. As soon as he finished speaking. Buzz. 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 Several piercing sounds of breaking through the air came from the sky above King Kaiu Ancient Mountain, making the eardrums of every creature in the mountain buzz. Lin Zichen looked up the first time he heard the sound. Then, he saw several black streams of light flashing by. Then, in the next second, 5 men and women in black robes appeared in King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain. The moment he saw the 5 people, Lin Zichen habitually used danger sense to spy on the biological information of the 5 people. When he sensed that there were 2 legendary masters among the 5 people, Lin Zichen's face suddenly became solemn, and he was ready to take Shen Qinghan away. The 5 people in front of him looked like uninvited guests. The sudden appearance of the 5 of them here was probably not a good thing. And Su Juju's reaction next proved that his guess was extremely correct. Su Juju frowned, staring at the young man who was the leader of the 5 people and said, "Yan Yuming, what are you doing here with your guards at King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain?" She was very familiar with Yan Yuming. He had come to King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain many times to marry her, which annoyed her. Yan Yuming smiled and said, "Of course I am here to save you." "No." Yan Yuming continued, "Not only to save you, but to save your entire King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain clan." "What do you mean?" Su Juju frowned. With her understanding of Yan Yuming, the only son of the Night King, she didn't think Yan Yuming would be so kind. Yan Yuming raised his lips and said, "Actually, it doesn't mean anything. I just want you King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain to submit to our Yeku, and let all the fox girls become the dual cultivation furnaces of our Ye clan. You Yeku are worthy." Su Juju was so angry that she cursed loudly. Yeku is the weakest of the several major forces in the southern region, weaker than King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain. It is simply a foolish dream to make King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain submit to Yeku. P.S. Put the bowl on the table, and ask for monthly votes and recommendation votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 280 Instant Kill of the Son of Mythology. Shocking the whole audience. Faced with Su Juju's curse, Yan Yuming smiled calmly, "Whether I am worthy or not, you will know later." As soon as he finished speaking, he immediately said to a guard beside him, "Hey Mo, take down the 7 fox girls who are repairing the magic circle in front." "Yes, young master." The guard named Hey Mo responded. Then the next second, he turned into a dark stream of light and rushed towards the 7 fox girls. The 7 fox girls who were repairing the magic circle were all elders in King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain, and they were legendary strongmen second only to the mountain master Sumai Xiao. Seeing that there were strong men of the same level coming to kill, one of the fox girls immediately put down the repair work at hand, burst out her mental power to attack the strong man who attacked. If it were normal, her mental attack could easily cause damage to the strong men of the same level. But at this time, because she consumed too much energy to repair the magic circle, her body was in an extremely weak state. The power of the mental attack she launched was greatly reduced. Hey Mo blocked it without any injury. Seeing that her mental attack was ineffective, she did not try to be brave and shouted loudly, "I have consumed too much and my body is very weak. I can't stop him. 2 of you come to help me." As soon as these words came out, 2 fox girls of the same level quickly flashed out. The fox girl who joined forces for help attacked Hey Mo with a 3-to-1 advantage. Facing the full-strength joint attack of 3 strong men of the same level, Hey Mo was not afraid at all. He directly spread his black wings from behind. He flapped forward violently. Then, a terrifying gale appeared, carrying a strong source of power, and swept towards the 3 legendary fox girls at a high speed. The speed of the gale was extremely fast. The 3 fox girls in a weak state had no time to react and dodge, and were directly sucked into the terrifying air vortex by the gale, and were instantly covered with wounds. Seeing this, the other legendary fox girls who were still repairing the magic circle stopped repairing their hands at the same time, and thundered to kill Hey Mo who could fight 1 against 3 and suppress them. Hey Mo had never expected that the other party would attack at the same time. He was stunned for a moment, and then he quickly retreated after reacting. Unfortunately, he was surrounded by 7 legendary fox girls just as he was about to retreat. Although these 7 legendary fox girls were all in a weak state with greatly reduced strength at this moment, they were in large numbers. In the case of outnumbering, they easily beat Hey Mo without any ability to fight back. "Bai Mian, go help Hey Mo." Seeing that the guard Hey Mo was in a disadvantage, Yan Yuming did not hesitate at all and immediately spoke to another guard beside him. Hearing the voice, the guard named Bai Mian, wearing a white robe, quickly stepped out and disappeared from everyone's sight in an instant. When he appeared again, he was already behind one of the legendary fox girls. Then, before the legendary fox girl could react, he suddenly raised his hand and pierced through the round and full chest of the fox girl, and took out a bright red heart from it. The fox girl whose heart was taken out spat out a large mouthful of blood, and her hair flew all over the ground. This fox girl did not die, but escaped from the battlefield with her tail cut off. The other 6 fox girls on the battlefield immediately became alert and used half of their fighting power to contain Bamian who suddenly entered the battlefield. For a while, the situation formed a short-term balance. The 6 legendary fox girls, who were already weak and in a weak state at the moment, fought against Hey Mo and Bamian, who were also legendary. They were evenly matched and it was difficult to tell the winner for a while. Under the rhythm of the 6 legendary fox girls, the location of the battle drifted farther and farther. In just a few seconds, it moved from the top of the mountain to the foot of the mountain. The reason why these 6 legendary fox girls moved the location of the battle was to avoid the aftermath of the battle from hurting their own kind. After these 8 legendary strongmen left, except for the legendary fox girl who escaped with her tail cut off, the strongest fighting force in the entire King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain is now epic. Yang Yuming, who has 2 epic high-level female guards, has become more fearless in this situation. He looked at Sujuju, raised his lips and said, "Saint Lady, I give you a chance to agree to the marriage, I hope you don't know what's good for you." "What if I don't know what's good for you?" Sujuju was not afraid of his threat at all, and his attitude was extremely domineering. "This is King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain, not Yeku. Being in your own territory, there is no reason to admit defeat to outsiders." "Okay, you are really brave." Yang Yuming laughed cynically, "I like to conquer saints like you, and take your union when you are reluctant. I hope you can still be as tough as you are now when you fall into my hands." Just after laughing, Yang Yuming suddenly noticed Shen Qinghan next to Sujuju, and was instantly fascinated by Shen Qinghan's stunning beauty. What a beautiful girl! She is delicate and tender, and exudes a loving aura from head to toe. Who is this girl? The moment he saw Shen Qinghan, Yang Yuming's soul was hooked. He has lived for so many years, and he has never seen such a beautiful person of the opposite sex, much more beautiful than Sujuju, the saint of King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain. "Are you also a fox girl from King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain? Why don't you have a fox tail behind you and fox ears on your head?" Yang Yuming calmed down a little, staring at Shen Qinghan. Shen Qinghan did not answer, but shrank behind Lin Zichen timidly to avoid the obscene sight from Yang Yuming. Seeing Shen Qinghan almost pressing her body against Lin Zichen's body, acting very close, Yang Yuming's expression suddenly changed and became very ugly. "Qingluan, kill that man for me. Huang Ying, go and catch that woman." Yang Yuming said with no emotion in his voice, not paying attention to Lin Zichen at all. Upon hearing this, the 2 female guards behind him, both with good looks and figures, immediately rushed out in a flash. One wants to kill Lin Zichen. One wants to capture Shen Qinghan. Seeing 2 epic level high-level experts attacking him at the same time, Lin Zichen's heart sank to the bottom. The moment he was about to take action and try to kill the enemy by leapfrogging. Buzz! 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 Several piercing sounds sounded together. Then, several graceful figures came out from behind and attacked the 2 female guards. Lin Zichen followed the voice and looked at these graceful figures. At the same time, danger senses triggered. Immediately, I learned that these graceful figures were epic-level experts from King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain. Boom! Boom! With a burst of terrifying movement, there was an explosion. Soon, several epic-level warriors exchanged hands. In this regard, Lin Zichen didn't hesitate at all, and immediately burst out with all his energy, blood, and spirit, picked up Shen Qinghan and fled from here. This King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain is not safe at all, so it's better to leave as soon as possible. Humph, want to escape? Yang Yuming sneered, and quickly burst out to chase after him, wanting to kill Lin Zichen and take Shen Qinghan in his arms as his own. A mere rare 9th level ant dares to chase me? Do you dare to covet my fiancé? Court death! Lin Zichen felt a rare sense of anger, and suddenly turned around to attack Yang Yuming, who was chasing him. With the boundless power of his blood, he punched him in the head. Yang Yuming didn't expect that Lin Zichen would suddenly come back with a counterattack. Even if he thought of it, he couldn't avoid it at all. Soon. Just listen to a bang sound. Lin Zichen's fist hit Yang Yuming's head accurately, causing his head to explode like a bursting watermelon and turned into a cloud of blood mist that spread out. Bang! The same sound sounded again. Lin Zichen punched out a second time, turning Yang Yuming's body into a ball of blood mist. Then with a thought, he spurted out a ball of red flame from his mouth, evaporating the blood mist in the air, completely cutting off the possibility of Yang Yuming's flesh and blood being recast. Until the last moment before his death, Yang Yuming didn't know what happened. I can't figure out why I was blasted into a ball of blood mist and died on the spot when I had the advantage one moment. Young master. On the other side, Qingluan and Huang Ying, who noticed Yang Yuming's murder, both changed their expressions and screamed in horror. Yang Yuming died, and the 2 female bodyguards would probably be buried with him. After Lin Zichen successfully succeeded, he did not dare to stop for a moment. He immediately used all his firepower to escape with Shen Qinghan, trying to get away from King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain, a place of right and wrong, as quickly as possible. Seeing that the murderer was about to leave, Qingluan and Huang Ying frantically sacrificed the source power in the Sea of Consciousness, greatly increasing their strength in a short period of time, beating the fox girls back steadily. Then, he burst out with the fastest speed in his life, chasing Lin Zichen like lightning. Yang Yuming died, and if the two of them failed to catch the murderer, they would definitely be buried with him. If the murderer could be caught and brought to the Night Cave to be dealt with by the Night King, then the two of them might still have a chance to survive. Elders, go and save him. Su Juju became anxious and immediately shouted to the epic fox girls who had just fought Qingluan and Huang Ying. She knew that Lin Zichen was very strong, so strong that he could leapfrog and kill all kinds of geniuses. However, Qingluan and Huang Ying were both epic high-level powerhouses, and their biological levels far exceeded Lin Zichen. No matter how talented Lin Zichen is, he can't possibly deal with a high-level epic warrior. What's more, they are still two angry epic high-level experts. Holy girl, don't be impulsive. The epic fox girl at the head gasped slightly and left these words. After that, he took other epic fox girls to continue repairing the mountain protection formation. As the heads of various halls in King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain, their status is no lower than that of Su Juju, who is a saint. Even higher. He is the most powerful person next to the mountain master Su Mai Xiao and the 7 legendary fox girls. Facing Su Juju's request at this moment, they did not have to obey. Above King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain, Lin Zichen flew very fast. In just the blink of an eye, he flew out of the area where King Kaiyu Ancient Mountain was located, and fled into the distance at high speed. Buzz! Buzz! 2 crackling sounds came from behind. Lin Zichen, who heard the sound, knew that the 2 epic high-level experts named Qingluan and Huang Ying were chasing after him to avenge Ye Wuming's death. Feeling the opponent's speed, Lin Zichen knew that he couldn't escape by flying in the air. So, he dived down decisively, choosing to rush into the endless forest below. He had to use land travel to completely get rid of the 2 epic high-level experts behind him who were pursuing them at extremely fast speeds. Upon seeing this, Qingluan and Huang Ying rushed into the forest the next second. As soon as Lin Zichen landed on the ground, he immediately used the biological attribute digging instinct. His hands turned into an afterimage that was so fast that it could generate electricity by friction in the air, and he frantically dug the soil under his feet. Just by closing and opening his eyes, a bottomless cave suddenly appeared on the flat ground. Buzz! Buzz! As 2 familiar sounds broke through the air, Qingluan and Huang Ying landed at the edge of the cave at the same time. Looking at the bottomless cave under their feet, both of them felt extremely shocked in their hearts. Neither of them could understand why Lin Zichen could dig such a bottomless cave under his feet in the blink of an eye. How on earth was he able to do this? Although the 2 of them were puzzled and confused, they did not struggle too much. They quickly entered the cave and continued to pursue Lin Zichen. In the deepest part of the cave, Lin Zichen was sucking Shen Qinghan and letting her stick to his back, while digging like crazy with his hands strengthened by the digging instinct. As the depth of the excavation continued to deepen, a large amount of groundwater gradually seeped out from the end of the cave, making the excavation more difficult. In this regard, Lin Zichen had no fluctuation in his heart and continued to dig soil calmly and frantically. Suddenly, his expression changed drastically, and he sensed the rapid approach of Qingluan and Huang Ying from behind. It's over. Being caught up. There is no escape. What should I do if I can't escape? That can only be done head-on. This is the thought. Lin Zichen put down Shen Qinghan and said to her seriously, you have a special physique and can completely dissolve in the water to escape from here. Please merge into the groundwater under your feet and leave here. What about you? Shen Qinghan refused to leave and was worried about Lin Zichen. Lin Zichen didn't talk nonsense to her, and said coldly, go quickly, you will only become a burden to me if you stay. Burden. Hearing these 2 words, Shen Qinghan's heart skipped a beat. She knew that she was a bit of a burden, but hearing Lin Zichen say this with her own ears at this moment, she couldn't help but feel particularly uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable, but she could still understand the seriousness of the matter. He just said be careful to Lin Zichen, and the next second he escaped into the underground water at his feet, completely integrating into the elemental form. After sensing that Shen Qinghan had left, Lin Zichen's hanging heart was half relieved. After that, he condensed his eyes and began to sacrifice the blood essence in his heart and the consciousness in the sea of consciousness, temporarily improving his strength as much as possible, and getting ready for a desperate fight with the upcoming Qingluan and Huang Ying. 996 meters. 652 meters. 311 meters. 103 meters. 9 meters. Lin Zichen kept thinking about the distance between himself and Qingluan and Huang Ying. When the distance reaches only 9 meters. At a corner in front, 2 figures with bulging front and back suddenly appeared. It is Qingluan and Huang Ying whose biological levels reach the epic level. Capture him alive. Qingluan said in an extremely gloomy voice. The moment she finished speaking, she stepped forward, appeared in front of Lin Zichen in a flash. So close. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. Thank you.